Let's find out then. Let's see who loves it more. Let's see who's going to come out on top.
When you look at the map pools of both teams, to be fair, and rank them in terms of which they prefer playing, all three of these maps are in their top 5. So we've got a really good series coming up where there's no bad map for either side. It is just straight shooting, good maps that both teams love to play. First ban's going to be the Deimos coming away from SSG, and then G2 come in with a Blitz ban. An operator they play quite a bit themselves too, but very aware that Forest has been running around on those shields a lot and want to keep it away from him. G2's next ban is going to be the Azami, surprising absolutely no one. Our most banned operator at the tournament by a country mile so far, Tim. No others even close. I think it's 57 maps she's been banned on. The next is Monty down at 42, and then Valkyrie going to be our last ban away from SSG. We've got our bans, Tim, we've got our game, we've got our players, which means the series will begin. Here we go, and what a game it's going to be. Let's get into it. I also love, by the way, how the observers prior to the game did jump in the lobby and say, guys, please keep it calm this game. The admins are already pretty stressed after our last series. However, I think we all know that between Alamau and Ashen, there ain't going to be too much peace in this series.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be too calm. There's already been some pleasantries exchanged, some greetings in the old chat, I think. So,
always the way.
They're both going to be looking for any small, tiny little advantage that they can get, I'm sure. But I think both of these teams are more than familiar with it. So let's get on into things. Round 1. We get things underway. It's going to be Game and Bar to start things off. SSG on the defense.
And straight up to the top floor, no surprises at all. If you haven't watched too much Siege before, first off, welcome. If you can't really play a site particularly well itself, it's not too defendable in isolation. You either go above or you extend laterally. Laterally here, we're right into that front lobby, and that is going to be a very difficult room to defend, Tim. So playing above where the soft flooring is the go-to. You often get this triangle that forms at the top of library stairs in towards Mez and player inside the library itself. And you've got to break that defensive triangle on the top floor if you're the attackers to really get a march on. That said, there is no shield at the top of library here, Tim, so maybe it's not going to be a full hard hold coming out from SSG that we're used to seeing. For the most part, actually, they've just said, let's electrify it off, lock it all up and play elsewhere. It's more of an extension up towards the office side of thing. You can see Ashen and J90 are scattered towards that side of the map. They're almost giving library to G2 and saying you can try and take it, but then you've got to worry about what's going on below, as well as the rest of us pushing into you from that master office side.
And I think we're going to see exactly how that plays out, because G2 really are going direct here. We've got the Sense utility is in, the Nitro is out. Forest starts it with a big kill, full shuts down Doki. At the same time, Uno does still have Diffuser in hand. That's something, but this attack has been put on pause by SSG as Ashen manages to find Blaz. 5v2. And the question mark is out from Ashen.
I think it is from a few of us, Tim. Like, G2 there have really tried to catch SSG off guard. And I think it's very reasonable to assume that on Bar and Gaming, you're going to have some players upstairs. They maybe have seen on drone players in Master Office and assumed, all right, they must have 2, 3, 4 offsite here. We should just go for it. 2 shields on side, it feels doable, but they've walked into a C4, they've walked into a crossfire, even with the Sense gadget being rolled out at the same time. Really good response from SSG to not cave to G2 in this first round. It is a big rescue mission here from Uno and Loira if they want any chance to get in this round over the line, but I think we're all expecting, Tim, to see SSG walk away the winner.
Yeah, almost certainly. Just trying to get something going in behind the utility here, but Loira is going to take a lot of damage. Be shut down. A flawless round to kick things off. Benja and J90 finish things off. A lot of them getting in on the action there. We need to see the scoreboard at the end of the round, which we'll have a look at when it all shakes down, but I'm not sure that wasn't a team ace. Forest definitely got an Nitro kill to begin with. I think Ashen got one in there. I'm not sure if Fultz was involved in the action or not, but a very good team effort from SSG.
Benja with a little bit of talk back saying, I know the trigger for you boys. Not forgetting, of course, that he used to be on this team. In fact, it was on G2 that they went on to win the whole thing. Lift the hammer. 3 years after SSG did the same. Reminder for you that on this SSG side, there are indeed 2 hammer lifters, one in Benja, one in Fultz, who's been with the team now since 2019, 6 years with SSG. A lot of history packed in.
I'm pretty sure I just saw a kill from Fultz. So
I mean, look at the bottom of your screen, mate. There you go.
Team ace.
Real teamwork, Tim.
Hell of a start from SSG.
It was. The one thing I will say, and I'm not at all trying to diminish SSG's achievements there, it was a really good defense where they held off against the rush. G2 there have gone Hail Mary. They've thrown the kitchen sink at them inside of sight to try and get the execute off. Obviously, they've paid the price. They've been caught out by a C4. On a different day, there is not a C4 wielding player nearby, and they probably get away with the plank going down. That's not the G2 that you're going to see for the rest of the map now. I do expect a much more structured approach to this round, and looking at the lineup, no double shield on side again, no potential rush. It does look far more composed. The Ram, especially of Loira, will be the one to watch out for because he'll want to get inside a lobby, get that floor ripped up to start setting up for an execute later in the round.
That's exactly what's going to happen. We will see the Boogie drone go on in towards main. That's going to start chewing the floor up there. Alamau has gone up towards the top floor, as have a number of other G2 players looking to just get on in and start this clearance. Benja will be the one, as we've seen time after time after time at this tournament so far, who will be out in that advanced position. Manages to find himself an entry, and for all that G2 have been fantastic so far, SSG are looking good against them right now, and there's not much working as Ashen on the Vigil manages to find Blaz with the Bosch G. It's not going well for G2 at the start, shall we?
Benja's gonna be like a worm digging into Alamau's brain here. He's like, I know how you play this map, I've seen it enough, I used to play with you, I know your habits, I know everything about you. And that may well start to rattle G2 a bit if they can't get themselves composed here. It's been a great start though for SSG. 2 players gone down, looking to crumble the same way as it did before. And even with the verticals being opened up and a little bit of a semblance of a execute starting to come together, they've lost those 2 players, which just sees everything lose its steam, and G2's certainly not going to be as sharp or as pointy as they were before. Smoke coming over the top here as well to make sure that they can get the ram going through. Can't be shot out too easily either at first. Looks like more in towards the hatch. They want to get this opened up. Sure enough, they shall. That's not going to be the connector hatch, Tim. It's a way they can drop in later on, but I'm more concerned that there's deployable shield, there's a clash on side, there's a lot of things that are going to impede G2 here. Still about 75 seconds to play, so a lot of time, but getting a plant down is going to be really tough.
Yeah, of course it is, especially Doki low health as well. Just trying to push main stairs, but the clash, Forest will be able to deal with that, absolutely no problem. Can't get anywhere near the clash because a couple of zaps, Doki will be down. Just looking to potentially send a little bit of utility in there. Ashen's going to just take a pot shot with the Bosch G. He will not be stopped. Takes down Uno. Surely not 2 flawless rounds in a row.
It's coming. Doki's going to die to the zap if he's not careful here out of Forest. I know he's on 1 HP himself, but Doki, no, he can't even get a kill. It's a double flawless to start things off.
2 rounds.
G2 need to be told that Chalet has started.
2 rounds. G2 don't have a single kill, Des.
And Ashen and Benja are straight in the all chat once again, saying, Blaz, you're so bad. Legit, all you do is copy Furia. Carl, come up with some new ideas. G2 calling a really early timeout here because the game is slowly crumbling away. See if we can hear what Romalio's saying.
We can do the thing with Carl going in the window because no one's know that, okay? Like, if they go kitchen, guys, check the walls in front of the kitchen. If the walls in front, we can go there and do our plan. Okay, like then, guys, when they go bar again, let's play to try to see like if we can go for the opening kill in below in the dining, and then we go into the lane push because I never showed this. Okay, or if they're holding master, we go for the queen master, and then we go for the into lane push. Okay, guys. So let's play let's go abuse the cable, okay, guys, because they play crazy. Push the cable, guys.
Got a little bit of that, but largely the thing that I took away from it, and it's something we've touched on throughout the week, Tim, is knowing when there's an isolated player and being willing to go and punish that player. He was referring to Master at one point during that conversation, and what I at least took away from that small so that we could understand and hear was the piece around isolating out these players. Thing is, when you're trying to do that, as they might have been here and trying to get onto the Vigil, Tim, well, SSG are just one step ahead. Benja knew exactly where Alamau was going to be, got him for free at the start of the round, and everything just came down like a stack of dominoes from that point forwards.
Yeah, G2 need, it sounds obvious to say, but G2 need a round very, very quickly. They need kills, they need to really come back. Not just with a round, they don't want to win a round 1v1 at the end in the last 5 seconds. They just need a really good, clear win of a round, because right now, SSG are getting on top of them, and it's, you know, as much as I'm sure they don't care about, you know, the comments and the mental game, eventually it's going to start feeling like that. It's going to start feeling like SSG have got the playbook and they know everything that's going on. Because right now, 0 kills, 10 deaths, G2 have got absolutely nothing to build on.
I do wonder to what degree. G2 forgetting as well, haven't played today already. SSG have. They're warmed up. They've had a chance to look at what didn't go so well during their series earlier. It was still quite close. It was double overtime, but they managed to take a 2-0. They can look at the things that didn't happen go so well for them early today, course correct them, and be in fine form coming into this game. The only concern might be if this goes to all 3 maps, you start to see a little bit of tiredness. You've already had the adrenaline boost from that game early. You've had the come down now, so you're a little bit tired, and then you're coming fresh into a best of 3. That is where all their focus on the stuff outside of the game, in my opinion, is really going to come to help them. And for G2, they're coming in a little bit cold here. They had a whole day of prep yesterday. I imagine there weren't really any scrims going on. So for the first few rounds, first half of map, you might not find them at full fighting force. Problem is, Tim, that can be the difference between you making it into the next round or getting knocked down to the lower bracket.
It really can. You know, if this is the map that you're wanting to pick up, I know G2 have picked Bank, and they're going to be looking towards that soon if they're not too careful. Alamai manages to get an entry, so that gets G2's account open. He's taking down Benja. The Warden's gone as well, but Fultz and Ashen find answers along with J9O. SSG have just taken it to another level so far, Des. We know that they picked Chalet, but G2 will expect to turn up and have a decent game on this map. They've already beaten Team Liquid at Invitational here. And it's just not happening right now.
Like I say, it's one of it is their joint top most played map across the last 6 months. Like, we know that they'll play it. For SSG, it is their most picked map. Both teams like it. Both teams will play it. But so far, only one team actually got the memo to that the game has started. G2 really struggling to find even a kill so much as a round. They've still got one. They've used their tac timeout. It's not looking too good for them. They need to warm up soon. For SSG, though, they'll keep on turning those screws. They'll keep on applying that pressure and not give them away into it. Ashen goes down, but Fultz is in behind, gets the 2 that he needs, and it's a closeout for SSG. They're up 3-0 now.
Look, the big problem for G2 there is as well, how casual was that 2K from Fultz at the end? SSG are feeling this, Des. They're in a flow state. They're just moving from one to the next. Fultz goes up and just bang, bang, 1-2, closes out the round.
Listen.
G2 have got problems.
Isolated players like full placement and stuff, and do what we did against Mako on that troll game. Remember, go find this opening.
Even Uno's already sounding a little bit fed up there, like, shut up, listen, and repeating some of what they've heard. Of course, I think the reference we had the other day from the desk was they played this map 3 times recently, all of them against Matchco, and actually lost it in one of those series as well. So there's some learnings from previous games. Just definitely not at the races yet, G2. And everything now comes down to Uno, to Alamau, to get some course correct on. Worth referencing, actually, of course, there was recently a podcast by Fresh and Friends podcast where he had Alamau and Doki on there, and they were speaking a bit about the IGL changes, why they made them, and Alamau said even back then, yeah, I didn't want to be in IGL. We didn't really have someone that we could trust to be in that spot. And after a year with the team, Uno was ready to become that IGL. It now makes a lot of sense. And they put a lot of praise to on cameraman. Doki said this tournament, he has got 6 kills, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's 6 kills that he wouldn't have otherwise gotten by doing things that cameraman has guided him to do. As a recent player, of course, he has a lot of experience, things that he can bring and ideas that he brings over from Brazil in itself, but it ain't helping them so far in this series. Team SSG are absolutely frying.
Yeah, they really are. Look, you can see it. Ashen wants it. He's right up there at master window. He's got to lean on so he can get further out and try and find his angle. This is beautiful siege that we're seeing out of SSG so far today. Lyra manages to find Benja. Let's see if those words from Uno can turn things around a little bit for G2. If they can deal with players that they think are isolated. If they can go and find them. Ashen takes a little pot shot at the okay, knows that it's going to do no damage on to the Blackbeard. Might need a little bit of support to deal with that.
At least this time they're pushing in towards where Ashen and Fultz have got themselves set up to. My main concern is that they've got enough players up here to make it happen. It's basically a 2v2 on that Master and Office side, a bit of support in drone work coming in from Lyra and Alamau to help push things through. It has forced Fultz back, but he's still got Ashen, who's dug in upstairs at the minute. I think for the most part he'll hang on around there and try and punish someone. I think it's Blaz who's dancing around above him at the moment. Got to be careful about that potential backstab, but things are looking all right for G2 here.
Yep, Fultz is just still in support there as well. Ashen's just making a bit of a nuisance of himself underneath, playing in and around dining. Again, just making it so that there's always that potential for him to step out into fireplace and make a challenge, or like this, up blue stairs to just try and support Fultz and Ashen up on that top floor. Forrest, he's the one locked inside a site at the minute, but G2 just feel like they're stalling a little bit here. However, as I say that, Ashen will be found. The nades come raining in. As to the kills, 3v3 utility dumped in by G2 to get things moving. A double from Blaz puts them in the driving seat.
Charged his way down Piano there and taken out J9O, who was sat on that mez spot where you normally see a shield, and also got the kill onto top library. Solid start and has really opened the round up. I'll give it to SSG, Tim. I think the way they set up this round is really good. They extended Master and Office again. They fell back to a second defense point around Mez and top library like I spoke about in round 1. Can Forrest pull back a 1 versus 2? Because realistically, G2 should have this one closed up.
Just missed his opportunity there. It was a little bit of a victim of poor timing as he had a little look. I tell you what, he could put the diffuser on the ground.
Oh, dear.
A 1v3 becomes winnable. It was looking like G2 might be able to close this one out, but it is definitely possible for Forest to do this. And he will! Forest absolutely decimating G2.
Let's go, Hank.
The wheels are truly coming off for the European side right now, Des.
I believe it was around this point they were down 4-0 to Matchgo, Tim, and the whole comeback began. But Ben just reminding them this isn't the LCQ. You are in the upper bracket here at SI, and it is looking rough. 4 rounds in a row. And G2, that was a much improved round, Tim. They did all the right things. They moved the roamers back. They cleared top floor. But to throw away a 3 versus 1, that's going to be critical damage to the mental.
Yeah, that's really not great. And to say, you know, Forest, he's done some big work today. Don't get me wrong, we spoke about this in the first one. His work on the Clash particularly, on the Echo, he was playing a lot of sort of team-based operators, but it meant that he didn't get a huge amount of kills in that first game. Don't mean that as a criticism, but he's come out here. And it's not always easy, because you've not, like, warmed up. You know, if you're somebody who's gone in and dropped 25 kills, you're coming in, you're hitting your shots. But when you're playing shields round after round, or you're playing on those yokai drones, feeding intel back to your team, and then all of a sudden you're finding yourself in 1v3s, it can be tough. It can be tough to win those situations out. But Forest has just absolutely smashed it, played that perfectly.
I was curious how Spacestation set up on this map when it comes to their defensive side, and Tim, it is not good news for G2. It's definitely following the trend that we've seen, a 70% defensive win rate, and their attacking win rate hovers around 50%. If G2 cannot get around here in this half, it is going to be dire. This map will be written off, I'd imagine, by G2, but for SSG, they'll know all they need is one more out of Bank and Cafe. 2 maps that they love playing. G2 are in the mud, Tim. They'll be down to the lower bracket.
Yeah,
why we always
really.
say, don't get too excited by what you see in the group stage. G2 are flawless, 8-0 on maps, but it is falling apart, and Alamau at the start of every round has been absolutely deleted as Ashen takes down Alamau, takes down Doki, both in the mud.
This is almost looking too easy for SSG. They're just running around, finding kills at will. Challenge is going to come in onto the window. I think Uno will manage to get that, but the damage has been done by Ashen. And Benja is there for the trade. 4v2, and once again, SSG just always have the answers.
At what point do you start believing, Tim? We could have had a 5-year break, but SSG might be a serious contender for that hammer. They're looking scary. They're looking really impressive. And sure, it hasn't been a flawless run up to this point. But when it matters most, it's about going big. They've already taken down FaZe. They're looking solid against G2. If they carry on at this pace, they'll take them down as well. Who's left to stop them? BDS? Even they haven't looked super solid.
And let's not forget, the winner of this game will, one way or another, find themselves on the main stage at the event. There is a lot riding on this one.
There is.
It puts them into a position where even if they lose the next game, they will still go into a match that is played at the live venue. So there is a lot to go at. SSG just look on another level. And how many times have I talked about form? And it's important for teams to hit that form at the right time. G2, like you say, maybe have found it through the group stage, but right now, they are certainly not looking like the same team.
I can say a big hard reset for them after this map is what they'll be aiming for going into Bank. But now SSG just got to hold them back. 2 players left alive. They've got smokes to play behind. They've got the Clash with 30 seconds on the clock. This one looking more than doable. G2 are going to have to find something in round 6 if they don't want to find themselves at the other end of a flawless half from SSG. You can count the kills, Tim, on one hand almost. Looking between them, 6 across 5 rounds. It's not even been close, is the thing I want to stress. It's not like SSG have had to really battle through these rounds to get to where they are. They are outright dominating G2. A 4v1, as much as he'll step in and try and make something happen, Blaz is not long for this world. Benja with another. They are flying high.
Yep, SSG looking great. You can see straight away focusing in towards that next round. They are ready to go. They know the prize that is waiting for them at the end of this. And if they start off with a 7-0 victory, what does that do to the mental of G2 at that point? You know, that is going to be really, really hard to come back from, because SSG, you know at the end of this game, they ain't going to let it go. You know, they're going to keep reminding G2 of how difficult it's been so far.
Yeah, and I also said, guys, you can play slowly.
Fully imagine the text chat is muted from G2 at this point, but Ashen asking if Uno really is the IGL because he feels he's not very good at it, is the understatement he's given so far. Great read from Ashen on that play, I think, just knowing exactly what G2 were up to, where the likely push points were to come from, and having a perfect response. No doubt a little bit of crafted counterplay and awareness of G2's habits, but also just expectation based on playing this game for long enough. And Benja against his old team, Tim, is really flying up at 6-2. To be fair, J9 knows at 2-1. That's kind of the worst, like, scoreline on the team, but it's very hard to get any kills when your team is fragging out and stopping G2 from even getting anywhere near the site. Great first game, and given we had some concerns about Forest earlier, he was 3-18 at one time. We were like, I know he's playing a lot of shields, but when he had 9 rounds gone up, you'd expect to see a few more on the board. Well, he's certainly quelled those concerns, Tim.
Well, let's, you know, try and find some positives for G2. As I always say, every team... I'm trying. Not specifically
Neither
here on
haystack at this point,
in
Tim.
general terms. Every team who wins a tournament will have a bad day at some point, and you've just got to have it at the right time. G2, it's not the end of the line. If they lose here, there's a long way to go yet, but the loser will drop down to the lower bracket. G2 won the tournament from there in 2023. It is more than doable. It's about having a bad day at the right time and still having that opportunity on the back of it. Right now, they just need to get their heads back in this game, because at 5-0 with very few kills, SSG are having an absolute field day, and the danger there is that that sort of momentum then carries forward into the next map, and it just becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy that this game is lost.
That top floor's what they need control of first and foremost. It's a flip to what you saw earlier on in the game on the Bar Gaming defense. This time around, it's G2 working their way from library side and then over towards this top floor to force SSG away. Like we saw during the game against FaZe earlier, SSG are very happy to play their lives on their own, Tim. Aren't concerned with having all 5 left alive when it comes round to the site itself, and they've got one back, but has fallen down. Forest up to 7-0 and now back on site. Has got out a trophy, scot-free really, because they knew he was there. They saw him on the shock drone. He's managed to get a kill and get back in towards site. Good stuff.
Just going to be waiting on that rappel for the time being. SSG more than likely is kind of happy for that to happen, really. Uno has dropped away now. He's going to head through towards trophy instead, I think. But SSG still in control of the top floor, which is the important point. J9 and Ashen are up there. Uno instead trying to work his way through underneath. And as I say that, Doki does something about that top floor control, managing to take down Ashen. So that gives the advantage to G2. Could this be their first attacking round that they can get on the board? Uno gets him, but that puts the diffuser down cold behind enemy lines. Alamo manages to find the kill onto Forest. Opportunity now to push forward, get this kill onto Benja and think about a plan. G2 should be able to get this round done.
Not again. They've already lost 1-1v3 this half, Tim. It can't happen again, surely. They're down to 2. It's Loira and Alamau. Diffuser is going down at this point, but I don't think he's 100% where, nor does he have the angle onto it. A yellow ping there, not giving it away correctly. At this point, boys, you hold the cross. We've seen teams really mess things up. I think back to the game the other day between Falcons and Raza Company that saw PSG Talon going home, a 1v2 being given away through needlessly held angles. It looks like a similar thing again here, but no doubt G2 quite fired up, fancy the chances. Alamal with a 3K in the round drags his team over the line. They get something from this half, Tim, but it is a big hill to climb on the other.
Yeah, it really is. Fantastic start from SSG. They move on to the attack now, though. Let's see. You know, maybe just one of those days where the map plays out heavily defender-sided and G2 can start to just find some stability now that they can at least play with their own setups at their own pace.
Just as a reminder, in case you aren't aware, we do have a B stream also here at the Major, twitch.tv/Rainbow6Bravo. And over there, we've got BDS versus Unwanted, another NA versus EU showdown. It was crazy to have them both going on at the same time, but that's where we stand. And I think for now, BDS has started on Clubhouse up 2-0. So still early doors in that game. And obviously over here, we've hit that halfway mark where SSG are in fine form. We'll see how they fare on the attacking side. You'd assume quite well, given their history on this map, given it was their own selection. G2 choosing to start on the attack to begin with, and now SSG are going into that spot. Onto the side, no doubt they're going to feel a little bit more comfortable. This one was a lot better, but again, I'll put a lot of it down to Alamal, to be honest. The fact that he got the entry, steps in and gets himself a couple of kills for the round, and then gets the closing as well. it comes down to a big play from one player. Yes, there's always that team effort involved in it, but he really was a bit more unleashed in this round, and it could have gone horribly wrong if he'd been shut down too early on, because in those first 3 or 4 rounds, he was 1-3 on entry. SSG just always had an answer to where he was trying to push in.
Very, very important round then in the grand scheme of the game, because it's going to give us a real feel for how the next few rounds go. It's absolutely essential, I think, that G2 win the next 3 rounds, realistically. I think they need to get themselves a complete defensive sweep here, get it back to 5-4, and then SSG know that they're in a game, because if SSG can get around in the next couple and get themselves onto map point, they're going to look at that and think we've got, you know, maybe 4, maybe 5 chances to get this closed out, and it's probably going to be too much for G2 to come back from. So imperative for them that they get a solid defensive start. It looks like SSG going to potentially get a little bit aggressive to begin with. It's going to send in that utility to begin with so that it's ready to go. It's ready to be put up, the light screen, whenever they are ready to execute.
I mentioned earlier they actually had this banned away against them by FaZe, because Senz is their 3rd most played attacker so far here at SI25. Recent changes for a number of teams, seeing that operator rise in popularity, but SSG are one of the best, no doubt, at making use of it.
SSG are all stacking up over towards the master bedroom side at the minute, apart from Ashen, so it looks like they are going to go for a bit of a clearance over there, although saying that, things maybe just adjusting a little bit as Benja actually heads into basement. I'm going to look for a little walk up West Main, maybe. I don't know if they've got a bit of intel, concerned about somebody playing underneath at the moment, but it has certainly taken their attention for the time being. There's nobody down there, but...
I think the key one really is that they're pushing as a team. You think back to G2 earlier, I was a bit concerned when we had, I think it was Ashen and Fultz out on the roam, it was the Vigil and the Fenrir, and G2 only sent Doki and Blaz to try and clear him away, and I was like, if one of you die here, then that last player is frankly screwed, and you can't get control of that top part of the map. Now, they did manage to force the Fenrir back. It wasn't the end of the world. But here, I think SSG doing the right thing, stacking up as a team, clearing as a team, with Ashen being the backstab threat, playing on this Senz. How quickly can they get over here, though? Still half the round to play, a lot to work with, and they've done the hard work of forcing G2 back from that top floor.
Managed to get that first kill as well. Fultz takes down Alamo. Great start for SSG. Couldn't find the second as Doki shuts Fultz down, but Ashen is there with one of his own onto Lyra. G2 keeping themselves in the fight, though, as Forest taken down the Capitao. That's not a great operator to lose for SSG. You just know that those asphyxiation arrows will have been part of whatever the plan is for this final execution. They do still have Ashen on side, so that gives them the sense utility, but it could have lost a key component there.
Get rid of the camera in the end. Down to again, the clock running very low at this point. Are they aware about this player tucked in just below them? It's Doki who's lurking at the bottom of these lobby stairs. He could cause some real damage, and they've got the right idea. Here comes the push. No. Oh, Doki almost getting rid of him. Down to almost no HP here as well. One more bullet will be enough, but of course, there'll be a bit of team assist coming in. Gets his man down. Uno's there with the super shorty, really giving reason to its name. And Ashen, with it all to do in a 1v3. They've already won one this half, Tim. Or this game, sorry. Why not one more?
Just going to be searching, knows there's one on main stairs, can do nothing about it as Doki manages to pick up that final kill, and that is a good first defense from G2. SSG were patient, they were structured, they were working together as a team, but it wasn't enough at the end of the day. G2 did what they've done fantastically well through the tournament so far, and that was get trades. Every time they lost somebody, there was a death on the SSG side. They had to pay for every single kill they got, and that is what is going to keep G2 in this, affecting each other's deaths like that. Great stuff from them. They get the first of what I think is 3 essential rounds here, so the job is not done, because at least another couple need to go towards G2 before they can start feeling comfortable.
They win one more here, and I wouldn't be surprised if SSG are calling in that tack timeout. You don't want to let them build in momentum. Look back to the silence of the first few rounds. Understandably, they could barely get a kill, let alone a round. But I think now that G2 are starting to warm in, they've got those 2 on the bounce. Starting to feel a little bit nervous if you're SSG. That have they finally woken up here? Is this where G2 become reactivated back on Chalet? Certainly could be.
Going to be up to master bedroom this time around. Just looking at the lineup for G2, nothing too wild. We've got Alamo on the Tubarao. We'll keep an eye on him, see exactly what that's used for, whether it's to maybe keep that breach closed and just prevent any push coming through there. It's half open already, so probably... Oh, no, they're reinforcing it now.
a lot of time wasting and a lot of denial. 4 C4s in back pocket for G2 here. You can, of course, use them laterally, but you always expect on a map like Chalet, where there is so much soft flooring, that there is going to be denial coming in from below. More than anything else, with the Kaid and the Tubarão together, it's about slowing SSG down. And I think it's a pretty good read from G2. I spoke about it in the previous round, but SSG did this full map clear where they all started, except for Ashen, on that northeast corner of the map, worked their way down, cleared the top floor, and were then thinking about what the site itself looked like. If G2 are reading into this and thinking, we can waste quite a lot of time here, we've just got to stall out a bit more with C4s and the electrification and the cryo, like everything we need to really bring things to a halt. It's even going to be slowed down more by the fact they've got a Monty on side, Tim. Forest joining that operator in this round. G2 have a pretty good game plan here. It depends entirely on how fast SSG want to move.
Yeah, G2 have basically given Library over to SSG. Benja's inside there now working towards mezzanine, so they are going to look at getting the breach open. They're actually taking ground quite aggressively so far. RSSG with Fultz, Ash and J90 all pushing in. They've decided that this is go time. Forest is getting the diffuser down, and this is not good for G2. Loira, 1v4, diffuser down. Clutches don't come much tougher than this. He's going to try to get something going, but the Monty finds him, and without getting the kill on the Nitro, this is almost all but over here. 6-2 is looking very likely for SSG.
And the call just came back online for Benji. He's going to drop it immediately. Of course, Laura being around mute jammers will see that blocked away instantly. Not that it matters because of the Monty up. I tell you what, almost gets one there. Almost gets a second as well, but gives nothing. SSG just don't want to open that door to G2. I said they had to get this round over the line, otherwise you start to worry that G2 are building back into it. And then they remind us, Tim, they've steamrolled G2 for that first half. It can carry on into the second.
As I said, I felt that if G2 wanted anything out of Chalet, they needed 3 successful defences to kick things off, to get them back in touch. At 6-2, they now need 4 rounds without answer. From what they've played so far, it's just not looking likely, Des, to be honest with you. They're going to go to Kitchen and Dining next. But again, SSG have just done so well there. They've taken what was given to them. They've taken Library, they've moved across, they've got aggressive onto office door, and they've just swarmed G2 from everywhere. There was absolutely nowhere safe. They were coming out of the walls, Des. It was just an absolute nightmare to be inside a site there, and Forest was right on hand, straight in getting the diffuser down. SSG are just laser focused right now.
Speaking of laser, Tim, got the Aruni coming along. Don't get to see all that often these days. Very, very niche situations as she becomes an operator a team will roll out. And this one is just trying to impede SSG more than anything else. I think G2 are realising a big thing that's giving success to SSG is they're moving in as a unit. You're being pushed on 3 or 4 angles at once. We're seeing a flurry of kills happen all at the same time. It's not like a pickup happens and the team readjusts and they get a second pick and then they readjust again. It often is a big fluid motion where the whole team is moving as a unit. If they're going to impede that and slow it down, things like frost mats and goo mines and ephemeria gadgets will help you isolate those gunfights a little bit better. But it just feels like G2 is scrambling for answers here against a very adaptive and very flexible SSG side.
Toki's taken a ton of damage at the beginning of this round as well, which leaves him in a tough spot. And on the Legion, you'd expect him to be roaming around looking for those opening engagements, potentially trying to get G2 a start into this. He can't do that now because 1 bullet is going to be enough unless he's finding somebody with an instant headshot and no response. He's going to give his life away for it. Alamau does manage to find Ash, and that's what G2 needed. Somebody else to step up there, get that entry kill, get them going. But look at the damage that's been done to Alamau again. Very, very low. They've now got 2 players on the side of G2 that basically need to avoid engagements if they can.
I'm sure Alamau backs himself to net a headshot on the first bullet, Tim. We've seen what he's done all tournament long, one of our highest rated players after the group stage. Expected when, of course, you have gone flawless and not dropped a map. It's fair to say he has been unleashed since dropping away from that IGL role just in this series. Him and the rest of the boys on G2 certainly not cooking at maximum heat. See if that changes in the second, but SSG starting to gather around here. Pressure from G2 starting to dissipate. Yes, they've got that starting kill. There's a lot of tools on side here for SSG to get this one done. You've got the smokes, you've got the frags, you've got the flashes, you've got the Monty. All the tools and ingredients required to pull off a successful execute.
Got the access that they need and are heading right towards it. Forrest is walking on in. Nobody can stop him because he's a big shieldy boy. He's going to start putting that diffuser down, but Alamo with a nitro over the top finds his range and takes him down. J9O onto Loira, 3 versus 3, but the diffuser is down cold inside of sight. The big problem here for G2 is Alamo and Doki. Look how low their health is. Fultz finds one. They are now reliant on Blaz and a 5 HP at most, Doki.
A single shot onto him and he's gone to him, even through soft flooring, which is why it's so precarious. Blaz has got to do a lot of heavy lifting in this round, I feel, if they want to get it over the line. And they coming through, and Blaz has just ran straight into a headshot from Benja. That spray through the floor, going to find nothing, but J9O gets his man. What a statement from Space Station Gaming Team, a 7-2 win.
What are you doing, Blaz?
A lot of work to be done by G2 in the break here. Tim, I think if they want to bounce back.
Yeah, they've quite simply been run over on Chalet. But the one thing that you can do if you're on the side of G2 is go, you know what? It wasn't our map pick. There's a little bit of them going to know we're better than that on that map.
Yeah.
But you can at least just tell yourself, look, it wasn't our map pick. We're going into Bank. That's where we wanted to play. We run it back. And we saw that earlier. You know, in the early games of M80 Dark Zero, where they were quick wins and the other were able to just run it back.
It's going to be some soul-searching, I imagine. This is where champions are made when everything starts looking tough. How do you rise? Will G2 bounce back, or will SSG take a clean 2-0 over their rivals? Find out after the break.
What a game, I think is the least that we can say about this, and we're still in map 1. Hello, welcome back. SSG G2 just finished map number 1 on Chalet, and it's a good thing that we had a graphic about call-out, especially with the cap from the PK Blinders, because this game was full of blind peeking, Leo.
I mean, it was an absolute fragfest. I was actually thinking that SSG were so fueled on confidence after beating FaZe today, they just went in and were like, okay, let's just spawn kill every round. And it was just working, everything was working. Forest went from 0-0 and 7 to 1v3 against G2.
Forest is the craziest person in this entire tournament. I said it in the last game, I'll say it in this game. I will say though, SSG's form, SSG's confidence is so good inside of this fixture. What do you do when you're going up against G2, probably the most informed team in the tournament? You go out there, you assert your dominance over them. SSG did that from the very first round. Not just the very first round, the second round as well. 2 flawless rounds, a big 1v3 clutch from Forest. It set them going and they didn't stop. They did not relent whatsoever.
And keep in mind, Benja used to be on this squad that eventually won the Invitational that we started the conversation about. When watching G2 throughout the tournament so far makes you get those feelings of SI23, but then what happens? SSG straight back and it sends you back to SI20 to what was going on there. This is a nostalgia fest and we're in the current year.
This isn't even G2 playing badly. This is SSG playing incredibly well. Other than obviously a couple of rounds, but they really had the game done at that 5-1 defense split on Chalet, which is considered quite an attacker-sided map. I will say, you could have put G200 out of them there, and SSG would have gunned down every single one of them the way they were hitting shots today.
I will say there was opportunities for G2 to try and find a solution to this. I will bring the positives out of it. If you're getting an opponent that is highly aggressive, you bring the Monty, you slow the pace down, you regroup so that you have a trade potential. And I did not see that adaptation from G2. I don't know where it was. I don't know why the call was not made.
They were shell-shocked.
But they were shell-shocked at what happened.
That is the first map that G2 loses in this entire tournament. They've started 8-0, the only undefeated team. And here they take their first L on map number 1, Chalet. What a time that we are having. It seems like the tables do indeed turn, whether you like it or not, Leo.
Yeah, and actually I had a great example of how SSG was able to bring that alive, right? You look at the very first round. G2 are trying to be the ones aggressive. Look at this stance. They're trying to rush, but everybody's ready on the side of SSG. You see the C4. At the same time, you see him Fools coming back from his room. At the same time, you see Ashen, that was all the way in master bedroom. He's already dropped, already aggressive. Look at Benja here.
I love that.
He knows Alemao so well to just have that pre-fire. Ashen with the boss G again. Fools, round 3. Jump out here, bring back the man advantage. Another one here, ready to bring that aggression. Here, look, the jump in, Ashen is ready for it. And every single time, G2 seem completely discoordinated. But like, here, again, another spawn pick, and look at this 180. First kill, 180. Let me reload, and let's get another one. Amazing kills from Ashen.
And what do I notice about a lot of these engagements that were going on? This was SSG players taking 1v1 fights, but they're winning almost every single one of them. They're so aggressive and so confident.
But why is G2 feeding 1v1s to a team that is fueled on confidence? That's my issue here. Where is the strategic mind behind this? Why don't you regroup?
They got drawn into a slugfest, didn't they? That's ultimately what happened, and they never got themselves back out of it.
The shell shock couldn't pull out of it, slow the game down, as you would really usually expect from any team, but especially from G2. We didn't get that, and you know what? Now map 1 is done. It's behind them. G2 are going to have to go back to the drawing board for this. SSG are definitely going to be running pretty out of it. Though, we still have potentially 2 more maps. We'll have to see what happens. We'll take a quick break when we get back into SSG versus G2 on map 2.
There are many great players who are not champions, who have never lifted the hammer, who might never lift the hammer. And it's not because they aren't good enough. They just might not put in what it requires to really get there, because they are the goods and not the greats.
there is not 1 hour of the day where your mind can be off siege. You have to sacrifice everything to win.
If you were to win any event and call it quits, it would probably be the Six Invitational.
Chegar no topo uma vez, então assim foi um momento de muita emoção.
The Invitational is, the kind of the final checkpoint, the final test. It meant the world to me.
History will be made here because for the first time on home soil, a Brazilian team will win a world championship.
The only thing that matters is the 4 guys next to you, your coach, and the screen in front of you.
No one ever really just goes and wins. You have to go through the pain, the hardships.
Phase are exploding!
You have to go all in, that's it.
Quem perdeu foi nós tudo ali, e a gente que vai virar isso aqui agora.
Você tem que confiar muito no seu time.
Não vamos desistir, não vamos desistir.
Damir Sakiemi! I brought it all the way back!
Baixa demais, porra!
When you truly want to become the best, you truly have to believe that you are, because you have to play it 100%.
I'm Benjamaster and I play for Spacestation Gaming. Last time I played with G2, now I'm playing with SSG. There's quite a few differences, like we are a bit more focused, we're preparing well. We have a good dynamic between like being serious when we need to and, you know, chill when we need to. Joining an NA team, I knew like some stuff about the culture and some of them are a bit crazy, but yeah.
guys! Let's fucking go!
I want to play G2. I really want to. After we won against W7M, it was like a relief. You know, you have been training for like 4 or 5 years. At least myself, I believed that, you know, that moment would came, and, you know, it came. So it was more like a relief that, you know, it finally happened more than anything else. I mean, I know what it takes to win the hammer, and it's about like not putting too much pressure on yourself. You have to take it game by game.
Benja from SSG saying that he wants to play G2. Well, he played them in the server. That's for real, for sure, on map number 1. Chalet, 7-2 victory for SSG, but this is still for all the marbles. What happens on Bank? Will G2 be able to strike back, or SSG take a 2-0 and qualify directly to the main stage on Friday? Let's have that chat. What do you do if you're G2 to reset into it?
So right now, you're going to Bank, right? Very strong and confident map for them, right? It's comfortable. They're on a 5-win streak on it. So usually you just reset, and you have 2 choices. A, you go back to your defaults. You play this map the way you know how to play it, and you adjust. B, you go aggressive, and you go try and play that TDM game that SSG has brought on Chalet.
And I think if you get into that TDM game, that's a big risk in my mind, because I think that's how G2 just lost out on Chalet. Obviously, SSG are starting the attack. When you start the attack, you get to dictate the pace, because you decide if you're going to be the one rushing or if you're the one that's going to be going slow. You really get that onus. It is on the attack. So I think for SSG, the starting side is actually perfect for them in terms of this map pick. Obviously, they did get to pick the starting side because it was G2's map pick.
And if the issue on map 1, as we saw, was G2 not knowing how and when to slow things down, then starting attack is exactly what you need. You dictate the pace as you explained, Jack, and just means that once you get to the other half, if you already did well on attack, it's going to be a tough time. Well, it might be a tough game here for G2, but we're going to have to get into it and see what happens on Bank. Will it be closed out for SSG, or will it be EU to strike back and take it to map 3? Thank you very much, Alphama and Fresh. We are in with Des and Ace. Please, gentlemen, take it away.
Thank you very much, Milos. Yes! Welcome to the start of this best of 3. I've already made that joke once. It barely feels like we've had a map so far because it was that much of a run over, though. Bank, hopefully, is going to be a different story, but a little bit behind the scenes for you. I went out to the bathroom during the break, and so did SSG, and G2 were out there in a team talk, and naturally, SSG were yapping on the way to the bathroom. Enough that it got G2 to turn around and say, oh, shut up, man. Like, they're in there, and it's going deeper and deeper with every second that passes. Hopefully, G2 have got themselves composed here, and we get this series really, truly moving. But as it stands, they're 1 map away from dropping down to that lower bracket, and SSG will secure themselves a spot on Friday's stage.
Still very evenly split in our social prediction, 56-44 in favour of G2 here on Bank, given that it's their map pick. But, look, for me, map picks or no, G2 know how to play Chalet, top and bottom of it. And SSG were just much the better team, simple as that, in that first map. Whether that continues on the same trend, whether we see G2 after a little bit of time out of the server, chance to chat to each other, whether they can really lock back in and get it done here on Bank or not, we'll see over the next 7 to 15 rounds. We'll see how many we end up getting. But Blitz and Blackbeard will be our bans coming in. G2 defense on the left, so they are reversed as per the visual bug. So this is actually SSG's ban. They've taken away Blackbeard and Kaid, and G2 take away Blitz and a defender.
Probably his army, I'd imagine, because we know...
No, to be fair, Dorky likes to use his army down in server. So yeah, take away the Vigil, prevent SSG... I mean, Ashen had a field day on Vigil on Chalet, so prevent them using it around the map. Bank's a big map as well. It can be a nightmare chasing down a Vigil. Dorky will have his army available for the server hold that they did previously, which was really effective. So yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense.
It does. When you look at how much SSG have had a chance to play the Azami, it's not a whole lot because she is banned away all the time. And Doki, when he gets the chance, plays on this operator. Yeah, we'll have
Loira's actually brought her this round, but
there you go.
Generally speaking, in the server, I think you'll see the server hold from Doki. Doki's on Clash.
It's a rare occurrence, Tim, but maybe Lightning can strike here and they can get something magical cooking off. They're also hiding it at the very start of this round. Look, tucked in behind that CEO desk. We've seen a few teams do this. We saw FaZe do it earlier on, actually, against SSG. It was well hidden. It did lead to the round win because it proved to be, shock horror, a real problem, Tim. So we'll see how G2 make use of it in this round. Of course, normally playing inside a site is the go-to. It makes it impossible to repel in from the windows, but can also use it in different parts of the map at the same time. The reason you hide it away is because you can't then pick in something to deal with it. And looking at the lineup, you have got the Carly outside, you have got the Capital. There are options here to deal with this.
Yeah, it should be reasonably easily dealt with once they come up against it, whether they've been brought specifically because of the thoughts of a clash or whether it is just happy coincidence for SSG, I don't know. But one way or another, they should have the tools needed. So long as they can keep those two operators on the board, that's going to be the important thing. You feel G2 just need a couple of confidence boosters, a couple of good rounds to kick them off here on Bank. They're on the defense. They should be able to get it. Top floor, maybe down to bottom floor, just back to back them and let SSG know that they are in for a game. As it is, SSG just getting on inside of the map. Going to get the drones up there, so they will have a reasonable idea that the clash is there potentially. Might have seen it now, but either way, Doki is going to be able to take that drone down, and Denano just holding at the time being at main door.
You don't care so much about the clash being hidden once the round's underway. It's about stopping them bringing in specific counters. So as we said, there's a couple of softer counters that will come into this round and hopefully help them deal with Doki. For now, completely unbothered, was hanging around Banana. Is sat the other side of the castle barricade at the moment to contest onto these windows. Will feed a lot of information over to his team. Just has to be really mindful of not being shot in the back or from an odd angle as he steps across this top floor. You do get a lot of weird angles that get opened up, which you can be exposed to.
The Kali just in position. I think they have recognised that that is where the clash is playing, so looking to potentially just create that shield break, but they need somebody else there to be able to put some shots onto Doki if they want to be able to get him taken out. The Kali cannot reload fast enough to then start doing damage as well. Doki just going to be feeding that intel back in that they've got one player located top square. It's going to be Ashen on the Ash that is in that position. SSG feel like they've got themselves kind of set up now. They've surrounded the site, they've got top square, they've got window, they've got Carly on elevator rappel. They're sort of trying to soften things up, but haven't made too much direct progress yet.
They've had these spots for quite a while now, the last minute or so, and not really sure 100% how to move forward. So their breaking point is going to come around square, with Asher starting to march his way in towards Doki. Fult's also coming in from the backside, and Benja at the same time has jumped inside a stock. So 3 players all moving in unison, Tim, and they get rid of 3 players like nothing. G2, once again, completely folding, and Doki has got it all to do. This map's going to start the same way as Chalet did with a flawless round to SSG.
It's just more of the same from SSG. G2 must have watched SSG against FaZe this morning. They did the same thing. Multiple angles, multiple directions. We set up, we hold, we go together as a team, and they just get kill after kill after kill doing that. And it's not even, I'm not suggesting G2 aren't prepared for it, but I'm saying the same thing as I said against FaZe. What's the answer to it? Because you know it's coming, but okay, I'll challenge towards Ashen at square. Benja's just shot me from stock. Oh no, right, I'll look at Benja in stock. Ashen's just shot me from square. You know, what is the answer to it? Because they are doing it so cleanly. Normally, you look at that sort of situation, and the way it breaks down is because the teams aren't coordinated enough, and one's slightly ahead of another, and you get somebody who has that opportunity to challenge one and then move and challenge the other. SSG just aren't giving anybody that chance.
The thing is, G2 are a team that play the same way. They're very good at pulling off set-piece plays to punish players that are too far away from the rest of the team, or just to take a certain bit of map control. They're very used to this sort of style of play. They do it themselves, like I've said. So it does kind of surprise you that they have yet to really find an answer to it. It's one of those where they're not in bad spots around the map. They've got the right idea with the clash, for example. And it's a case, of, honestly, of hitting your shots and more often than not, but they've lost every single 1v1 that broke out in that round. Some of them, they weren't competitive in because they weren't looking the right way. One thing's for sure, though, they've got to find the answer. I thought they might maybe discover it during the break and coming into Bank, their own map choice. But that reminder again, both teams really like Chalet, both teams really like Bank, and both teams really like Cafe. You're not looking at a weakened SSG side here with coming in no strats, for example, or weakened strats, or an expectation of losing. They're eyeing this up to be a 2-0. Doki's fallen down here on that Azami. It's Ashen to start off with the entry, and he is flying this series, Tim.
Surely not starting out with back-to-back flawless rounds again for SSG. It was into the 3rd round on Chalet before G2 were able to pick up a kill, and right now it is 6 without response. They could be looking down the same path. A bit of time to go yet, though. 2 minutes. SSG fairly comfortable that they've got map control, so they can start thinking about site itself and softening that up. Doki, as I said, had a really good server hold with the Azami, but that is gone. It's dust in the wind. It is no more because he has been taken out of the round. So now, what do G2 do? They're going to have to hold on to blue stairs for as long as possible. Loira now is in such a critical position.
A critical position, but a very exposed one. SSG, if they want to hunt him down and punish him for being out there by himself, they absolutely will. They've got the Deimos track onto him. They know exactly where he is, which could make this a little bit easier. Sure, Candela's come through. He can block those away, no problem. I'm more nervous about the 3 guns that are starting to surround him.
Just going to be taking drones out. They know that he's there. You know, SSG don't really need to throw too many drones at this. It tells them whether he's top or bottom, but other than that, they know that Loira is going to be playing this position the whole time. They've just got to find an answer to it. And it is an age-old question, and it is not an easy one to come up with a solution to. If you're going against a Warden, the best way is either to ignore them or to push from the opposite side, because the shotgun isn't that powerful at range. They're going to get the kill. That's big. Loira strays out of blue stairs. Forest is ready and waiting to pounce. Uno manages to find Ash, and Uno finds a big double. G2 desperately needed that, but Fultz has an opportunity to put the diffuser down, and nobody's going to be able to stop him. The cover is in place. It is secured. If SSG can get themselves above and hold that from up there, this round is over.
It is, and Fultz has planted. He's got 2 kills for himself for G2. It is not the retake of the dreams they wanted. They've been absolutely melted by SSG once again. Just when Uno got them a little bit of a reprieve with a 2K, they've just decimated them. And what I really loved was the hit coming in on main stairs and down through the hatch. Suggested to Loira, oh, no one's here, I'm safe. Didn't know about the player inside of Dirt who got a freebie onto Loira as he strepped across. They are pulling G2 from pillar to post right now without response, and it's another round 2 timeout. Let's listen in.
Let's do basement home again. If they go for Doki, I want you flank heaven, okay? I want you, like, if you can, like, go up man, and for completely to the end, top floor if they go for Doki, okay? And if they go for the bomb side, Doki will have the smoke to have everything covered, okay? Like, you can, like, CO, guys. Like, CO, let's play Doki a little below, okay? And same feeling, okay, guys? If they go for clean the guy below, let's not fall back, like, let's everyone fight, like, drop lobby, drop main, drop stock, and let's fight everyone together completely to the end, okay, guys? I don't want you guys, like, playing push now, okay, guys? Let's keep the pace, let's fucking get it. Confident, let's go together. Let's fucking go, guys. Let's fucking go.
Fight together being the key, Tim, and they have been picked off one by one every single time so far, so I don't blame Romalio for that being his advice to the team, but is it enough? Can you really just say, just play together and it'll all work out? I'm not so convinced.
I'm just looking at this G2 at the minute, and, you know, we've seen this from them occasionally at tournaments where they have that game where it just all comes crashing down. And we keep sitting here thinking, maybe the next round, maybe the next round, maybe they get back into it. And it just never really arrives. And right now, that seems more like the G2 that we are watching than maybe the one that we've seen over the last week. They absolutely have the ability to make a match out of this one and to fight back, but losing so many rounds on the defensive bank is not ideal from them. It's G2's map pick, which says SSG picked to start on the attack. But if they can get 4-2, 5-1 half here, SSG, you've got to back them to find a couple of defenses, Des.
Oh, 100%. Again, there are no slouches on this map. They will feel very happy if they go away, even with an even net round count. If G2 bounce back here and get a 3-1 across the next 4 rounds, you'll still be delighted if you're the North American side. Let's see those G2 do play a little bit better here. They are playing scared, Tim. They are getting picked off one by one. So hopefully Romalio should help them realise some of the changes that they can make. However, they've just had, of course, a nice break between the games to have that kind of conversation. I'm worried that it's taken 2 rounds for another one to be needed. We've already seen SSG change at the pace a few times over, and I don't suspect they're going to give G2 any room to breathe.
Okay, just going to be dropping down there, doesn't want to overstay his welcome up on the top floor.
Hello?
Immediate pressure, maybe that's what G2 needed, a little bit of a livener, but Fultz taken down, Ash and Forest managing to find kills. SSG, once again, are in the lead.
They have the numbers advantage, and that is the big one. It's not bad for Alamal to be jumping out there. And, like, I don't think he'd expect to play his life or find Fultz hanging around by Dirt Tunnel, but that's exactly where Fultz was waiting to drop in. So now Loira knows that he's under some threat down there for himself at the same time, so it's put them at more of a deficit than anything else. Yes, his gadgetry is down, but you're down a gun. Benja being taken down by Blaz. Now all things looking even. Problem is, Tim, we've seen SSG in 1v3s. They've pulled it out once before. They've came close in another. I don't think it matters here when they've got all these players still alive. And Uno now finished off. Ashen again continues his domination throughout the series. And Loira and Blaz have got to hold on. They get 1, but can they get the last 2?
That's a good response from G2. J9 manages to make it a 1v1. It's all up to him versus Blast. 1 minute 15 left on the clock. Blast just holding his angle for the time being. He's going to make J9 do the work here because realistically, J9 doesn't know where he is. Blast playing this smart. He will have heard that drone go out, but he doesn't want to push. The flash does make him move. I think J9's got an idea, but he can't find him. Blast just manages to beat him on the peak. The flash just wears off in time for him, and he takes the last man down. G2 get their first round on bank.
If that had gone against him, Tim, I think mentals would have been broken all over it again because you'd have had the timeout, you'd have had the chat about changing things, and it still wouldn't have worked. So in a way, thank God that Blaz has got away with the 1 versus 1. Just the work from Ashen pushing down main. He got 2 kills pushing down there. It was a great response from Blaz after losing so many gunfights throughout the series. I think he found himself sat down at 1 and 10 he was. Of course, getting a couple in the round could be enough. Laura getting the 2K that he did here, also a little bit of magic for the team. I love that SSG team, even in the 2v2, we're still looking to play together as well. We keep on commending their teamwork and how they work as a unit. That continues to build up, whether it's pushing in and playing for trades, whether it's all jumping in at the same time from different angles, there's always a response ready. 2-1 then after 3 rounds. Here we go for another quarter. Loki's across onto that Scott boss, Tim. We love seeing this operator. Let's see what magic he can do with it.
And that's what G2 need. They need a bit of magic.
They need some magic.
They just need, you know, this is the moment where you need a player to step up, have a big 3K, 4K, you know, a huge round, absolutely dominate somebody, and then you can give a little bit back. You can get back in the mental game, and you can start, you know, pushing yourself on towards more rounds. So G2, 1-2 at the moment, continuing on the defense. Open area this time will be the site. Doki is just going to transport himself back into the site for the time being. We'll see whether we have any sort of shell switching action as the round progresses.
Good shot.
Nice.
So bringing down his former teammate and a good entry shot. I've seen G2 on the receiving end of those 1v1s far too many times now. And I think back to Benji throughout the tournament. I've mentioned earlier that he's had a few good games, but at points has been a little bit off the beaten path, has been outpaced by his opponents. In this series, he started out pretty hot on this map. He's definitely struggling a little bit more. You can see G2 starting to win out some of these gunfights. Exacted back the other way. Big problem is, though, that Dokubi's offline. Spoke about this operator so many times. So powerful when it comes to the team pushing forward or trying to hit the site itself. With that away, it does take something away from SSG's attack.
I think SSG want to get top floor control here, but they've got Forest and Ashen again just kind of stalled out. They're outside of stock windows. They're doing a bit of droning, but there's no movement from them at all at the minute. J9 and Fultz are on the front side of the building trying to work towards the same thing. They've got Alamau locked inside a janitor, but they don't really have an answer at the minute. This is going to be a hot drop straight into sight. They've gone with the hatch. Are G2 ready for this? No, they are not. The kills come in, and G2 all of a sudden are on the back foot, and it's body after body. A beautiful attack from SSG, just spotting the opportunity and taking it. The diffuser goes down. Loira, he's fighting gallantly to try and get his way back in, but there's nothing there for him. J9 takes him down, and it's another round to SSG, and that was again just such well-timed aggression from them. They saw the chance, Daz, and they took it.
G2 all off-site. What are you going to do? Hit the site. Nothing they could do to respond. This is the problem. You have one decent round and everything can still crumble off the back of it.
So quiet for G2 at the minute as well. The energy is so low there. They're obviously really feeling a bit beaten up at the minute by SSG.
Just painful. Start good in some of these rounds and then SSG just step it up a gear, up another level. Great rapid repelling here as well to decimate Doki on that push. And a keeper, I can't praise enough the team play out of SSG. It has looked so good. Yeah, I spoke about Scars, I think, earlier in the week, and I was saying you can see how close they are to getting things right on the attacks in some of their games, but they're always a second or two behind each other. They're slightly desynced. For SSG, it feels like they're in perfect sync. You can't seem to stop them. There's always 3 or 4 gunfights all happening at the same time, and G2 cannot react quickly enough.
It feels like, for SSG at the minute, it's like, let's all just wait, find where everybody is, and then it's like they're just assigning people to each other.
That's what they call split theory, Tim.
Yeah, it's just, J9, Doki's yours, Alamau's mine, Ashen, you're going to get Blaz, and it's just like, right, 3, 2, 1, go, and they're just like heat-seeking missiles. They just, bosh, go straight in, and their targets all drop at the same time. It's unbelievable stuff from them right now.
Beautiful, and just questions still remain around the number of kills that G2 are managing to stack up across those first 4 rounds. It really isn't many. A lot more to come, I'm sure, but maybe not in this series from G2. They've had that tack timeout, as we saw back after the second round. There's no second chances here to get things right, boys. It really is now or never. Giant Jane I inside of ATMs with the Monty, joined by Forest off towards his right-hand side, and their focus is in lobby. Elsewhere, though, it's Ashen and Benja working off towards Square. And I was going to say a potential backstab coming through garage from someone, question mark, but nope. It was Loira who's hanging around on main stairs.
Benja's just going to be working his way through, will continue to do so, just seeking for utility underneath. Can he pick anything up? Just remove those obstacles that might be ahead of them. 3-1 SSG then, don't blink, or check your TV, your monitor, whatever you're watching us on. If you've just joined, you are seeing it correctly. SSG 1-0 after a 7-2 win on Chalet, and currently 3-1 up on Bank, and just looking like they are playing on a different level at the minute. It's checkers versus chess right now. G2 need to get themselves back into it. Fultz is going to continue to open up that elevator wall. That's going to, again, remove more options for G2. Lyra has taken a lot of damage there. Doki's taken some as well, but it's not all one way. J9O just breathing in a bit of that toxic babe canister as well. It's just going to impede the progress of the Monty for the short-term future, at least.
C4 coming over, but not being pulled in time there. I think realising they aren't going to find the Monty. Shot away as well. Still 2 players dancing around here, but Tim, the angles they're being peppered from, like, look, there's a Monty in your face, there's a window coming in, you're worried about someone coming down ATMs, you're worried about the rappel. Just 1,000,001 things for G2 to think about. They look like they lack absolute confidence and trust in each other. They're not quite sure if angles are being covered, and at this point, SSG can just pick them off. 1 comes back, but as soon as they get something, Tim, 2 more go the way of SSG.
Whilst this has all been going on, Ashen has worked on a backstab over from Square. He's managed to get himself done, but G2 react fantastically well. Loira Blaz, stand up when it counts. That was looking really dangerous. SSG did what they have done all day, made a lot of noise over on that spiral side, and then sent Ashen in from Square to just get a couple of kills really cheaply, but G2 reacted much better this time. Get themselves another round. I think SSG, regardless of what happens in round 6, will be happy with 3 successful attacks, but we'll be looking for a 4th, of course. G2, they've got to scramble this last round, as they need a 3-3 split as a minimum.
It's going to feel like a real steal if G2 walk away with this half at a 3-3 split. Doesn't feel like they've done enough to deserve it, but all that matters at the end is what those numbers at the top of your screen read. Laura with a massive 3K, it's worth stressing, I think really saved the round. Tim, he gets Fultz, Ashen and Benja, a headshot onto each of them, all in the space of about 1.5 seconds. Big round from him to keep his team in it. Otherwise, that Monty starts to dominate as the numbers dwindle. Certainly no complaints from his teammates. You saw the response and just how much it means to have even 2 rounds on the board. That's as many as they got back on our previous map. So, can they make it into 3, Tim? Can they get the 3-3 split? We find out now. It's going to be a defense at the first floor, which means we jump up onto the top floor for our hold, playing through those vertical angles, and also having to force SSG to clear out more of the map than just going direct towards site. No shields on side suggests to me that we're not going to see a rushing towards site.
Pulse is just going to take out the camp from inside of there. That's going to remove the main lobby intel at least. We've got Ashen and Forest stacking up on the windows. Meanwhile, Loira still doing a little bit of prep work here, just making himself comfortable inside of stock corridor. SSG, of course, going to want top floor, so we know how keen that stock corridor can be. When you look at taking that, it gives you a lot of rotation options and a lot of control. Blaz is up there supporting Loira as well. Just needs to be careful with Forest on those windows that he's not overexposing himself and taking any damage.
Indeed. Moving then. Not a bad start. No one being picked off on either side. It's probably more of a blessing for G2 than it is SSG. In terms of how they're setting up, it's similar to before, where you've got to focus in towards ATMs. A couple of players were over on that side of the map, and then as we've seen before, there's always been a bit of a focus coming in around Square, mainly towards Ashen and Benji that have had their focus over here. There's a lot of window play for Fultz especially. try and dig things in. The longer range shots coming in, as you can see from J90, and Doki's found 2 to begin with as well on the jump out. There's no player here to respond this time, Tim, because it was Fultz that was hanging around dirt that got the trade back onto Alamau. So Doki gets away with 2, won't find himself picked up on the way back in. Massive start for G2.
Yeah, that's huge. Exactly what G2 needed a couple of rounds ago. If you remember, I said they need somebody with a big hero play to just step up, get a bunch of kills, and just open a round up. That's exactly what Doki's done with that jump out. A lot of success found from that, and it just tumbles from there. This is what we see. It's that chain reaction. G2 able to pick up 2 more. 5 versus 1. J90, he's got 1 minute and 15. It's about the only thing he does have in his favour. Walks into an FNAT, and you can see this circling, this sharks at this point. It's going to be Blaz to pick him up. G2, they have never needed a flawless round more than that, I don't think.
No, they haven't. And it's a good way to end it, given how it started with a flawless towards SSG. It might instill a little bit of belief in the boys here that they can still do it. Big thing now is they're going on to the attacking side. It's that total flip, Tim. I always say it, 2 halves to a game of Siege. You're hoping to see a strong attacking G2 come out here. It will be one hell of a comeback, one hell of a recovery, given how this map started, if they can recover on Bank and go through to that 3rd map and put on a hell of a show on Cafe. This is the big jump out for Doki that made it all happen. Yeah. It was Fultz, as I mentioned before, the one that was still on the ground when Alamau jumped out and the trade was able to be secured. But here, nothing quite going back the other way.
There's no Claymores. No Claymores on side. If you're going to play on the windows, you're asking for trouble at that point. If you're not going to claim all those, you know, we see the jump out so often. Even when you've just got 2 on there and it's kind of a 50-50 game, quite often you will lose out. It's just pop up then as to which window they come out of. But we move on to round 7. SSG will move on to the defense this time. They're going to kick things off down in the basement. Got the vision blockers there, so the drones won't be able to see too easily into blue. They're going to have to go on in there to get any sort of information, and likely will be taken out as they do. We've got setup still continuing. Forest was inside a server, so I think there'll be some FNATs placed in there as well. ADSs all completely stacked up on blue, so that tells us straight away that SSG are not going to be letting that staircase go easily.
Why should they, Tim? It's always good to fight it. Of course, no Warden on side, but maybe in anticipation that you're not going to see G2 dig in with Candelas, for example. They have got flashes they can play behind as well as the smokes. But you don't need to overwhelm. Like you say, the ADSs might just prove to be enough here. So I kind of worry that actually SSG have predicted the lineup coming out of G2 and are ready for it.
Yeah, interestingly, it is going to be Ashen that's actually playing in this position. I would have thought it maybe been the smoke shot.
Oh, that's interesting.
He's got the Jaeger shot.
I like this.
There we go. So it just allows J90 that freedom to stay back in lockers. We always say this, when you play the smoke on blue stairs, you're forgoing your plant denial. You know, you're losing those toxic babe canisters because the player is playing their life there. So we will see how effective that Jaeger shotgun can be on the close angle. Entire wall opened up to give J9 the maximum opportunity to get those smoke canisters into the right place. But first, G2 are going to have to clear out Blaz.
They saw all the utility dug in there as well, so it's not like the end of the world for G2. They've overcome the drone blocker that was in place. They've seen the ADSs, they've seen that Vulcan canister, they've seen the Jaeger with a shotgun. They know that's going to be a royal pain to chew through, unless, of course, you can get Blaz in there and start chewing away all of that utility. But, Tim, we're already halfway through the round. To start on that now would feel a little bit late, to be honest with you. They may well have to let this one go and try and attack elsewhere.
Very possibly. Watch as Alamau rotates now. They've got control of the hatches here of G2, but like you say, without an answer to server, Fultz is also playing down in server as well with the Azami. This is the position that we actually saw Doki have so much success from that I was talking about. This is a real problem for G2, and it is one of those situations where you think as a team, maybe you've just got to call it and say, you know what, we don't have time or the utility to battle through all of that. Go main stairs and garage, you know, do so, go for a lobby drop, go for something different. And it looks like main stairs are at least going to be part of that plan as Doki tries to start pushing down. He's got Alamau in support, but G2 look a little bit lost right now.
Blaz is going in for the lobby drop along with Uno. I think it'll be a Blant coming in more from the back side. So a take from this side could be a little bit risky. It's J90 they've got to face off against there. Still droning in for now. They've got a bit of time to play with. 2 players out in security will be ignored or at least isolated away from this initial gunfight. But that means G2 need to build up kills at the very start if they're going to make this work.
Doki's just trying to grab a bit of ground here, goes down, needs to wait for that Vulcan canister to burn out, but this is it. They've kind of telegraphed what they were doing here, G2, and SSG are ready for it. Flawless round, they've stood tall. Absolutely nothing for G2 doing there. They had no plan to break down server and blue stairs hold. When it came to dropping into vault and moving down main stairs, it was all just a little bit late. It took a bit too long, so SSG, they were ready and waiting. Hang on a minute, we're at 2 minute 30, Des. They're not in server, they haven't come to blue yet. Where else are they going to go? Are they in garage? Nope. So it tells you exactly where they are. And SSG were well prepared. Great round from them defensively.
We looked at it at the start without the warden, and I was like, okay, then you'll see a lot of flashes coming in. But G2 had 2 flashes, they had 2 smokes, and it was like, this is actually a perfect lineup from SSG. But I don't know if it's a case of G2 have like misdroned and not realised what it was they were facing off against or what they could be coming up against. But they certainly didn't adapt their lineup to deal with it. And I was looking at the stats the other day because I saw, obviously, Joystick playing an awful lot of Jaeger. It's one of his go-tos. And I was like, how much Jaeger have we really seen? And after a few days of group stage play, I think picked a total of 56 times. A quarter of those were by Joystick himself. And I was like, that's kind of cool to see. So for G2, probably somewhat surprised by seeing a shotgun-wielding Jaeger stacking up blue stairs like the good old days and no smoke and no warden being seen. It was definitely a good response from SSG, and that to me just screams counter-prep. They knew what G2 were likely to bring and came in with their own ideas to deal with it. Really smart stuff. And now up at 4 and 3, G2 are once again sent back to the drawing board to find some answers here to deal with SSG's setups on this map.
What a day SSG have had, realistically.
Oh, yeah.
Possibly going to end with a big finish as well. They came into the upper bracket one of the 3rd place teams, so one of the lowest placed teams coming into the upper bracket. Not only have they beaten FaZe, they're now 3 rounds away from beating G2 and guaranteeing themselves a spot in the live stage finals one way or another.
And at least with how things are going over on the other stream, it could be BDS, it could be Unwanted they're coming up against, but imagine bringing down FaZe, G2 and BDS. Oh, horrific. You've basically eliminated any real top contender for the tournament there. Of course, there's others that you'd look at like W7M, but they lost their game earlier on.
Who are you going to be afraid of at that point?
Exactly, and you really start backing yourself to win the whole thing. I think it builds up towards that point for now. They're still going to get through G2, but they are doing so in fine fashion. G2 are the ones that are now being demanded. Answers are being requested from them. Questions are being put to them. They haven't really found the full answers just yet. Either way, signing ourselves out on this window repel from Blaz, blowing away those castle barricades to expose some more vision into sight itself. For now, Alamal's got to get himself up towards the top of Spiral, and with these Yokais running around, I'm a little bit concerned that they'll be able to force this Monty away.
Potentially, Doki does manage to find a nice kill onto Forest. He missed his opportunity there. He did have shots. If he hits the headshot, it's a different ball game. But Ashen, he steps up and just manages to mop Doki up. He's going for the Monty, takes him down as well. It's all feeling a little bit desperate from G2. They're just forcing these situations because they have no choice. And it's not working out for them. 4v2 now, and SSG can just dig in. They've got Fultz inside of sight. Ashen, Benja, all what? They've got J9 in stock corridor. There's nowhere that G2 can go here where they're not going to be in a fight.
They just look completely outcast. How on earth Ashen has sat there then with a UMP and brought down Doki and then taken the 1v1 against the Monty with his back against the wall where he can't get back into sight and brings down both. It's, dare I say, borderline unforgivable, Tim, from G2. You've got to be punishing far harder than that. But they look unstoppable. There is nothing more that G2 can do. SSG are up to 5-3, Tim. 2 more rounds and they guarantee a spot in those live stage games on Friday.
2 more rounds. No tactical timeout available to G2. That has already been used. So they are now in a very tough spot. They've got to respond on the fly and they're on the attack of Bank. It could have been a real masterstroke from SSG here, taking attack to begin with. They've put themselves on the defense and you feel like they're on the downhill now. They're really in control of things here. And G2 are struggling to find any small opportunity. Like this situation, it's your Capitao and your Monty working upstairs together. You get the first kill, but then all of a sudden Monty's battling on his own and having to drop his shield and take a fight. You're asking for exactly what they got, essentially. And SSG, they just seem to be in the zone at the minute. They are cool, they are calm, they are not rattled by anything. A Monty in the face, no problem. I'll just get a headshot onto him. They're just coming away with almost everything.
I think even we're feeling second-hand shell shot for G2 here as well. It's crazy to see them being absolutely dominated by SSG. We spoke about the flawless group stage they had, 8-0 on maps. No one could stop G2, it seemed. They were, set up to then become one of the favourites to win the whole thing. But today, it's of all days to not show up, Tim. When you can secure a spot on the live stage, that is what's happening, which now means over the next couple of days, they might have to play some more games and potentially could even find themselves going home.
Look, like I've said, G2 have shown us the form that they are capable of. Everybody has a bad day in tournaments. G2 fans have just got to hope that, this is the only one that G2 have, because heading into the lower bracket, they won't get any more chances. They're going to have to cruise all the way through to the final if they want to get there. And honestly, coming into today, I would have said, I think G2 continue in the upper bracket, whoever they play out of face SSG, but it's just definitely been one of those bad days at the office for them, so far at least.
And I wouldn't even take it fully away from SSG. They've definitely exploited that bad day to the max. And it's not like G2 have been outright awful. There's definitely things they've done well, but SSG have just had a response to seemingly everything coming their way. Opener staff, we're going to find ourselves in for round 9 then. Doki starting his little creep in, seeing what he can do. Round towards that lobby side. Nook is very infamous with this map, I think, or very synonymous with it. You think about garage crouch walks from a Nook and the damage that they can do. We've seen some up main stairs, some on the basement sides doing a lot of damage as well. So much so that actually for a long time, Nook was banned away on this map for that exact reason, Tim. Don't think we're quite going to see bans towards Nook at this competition, given the strength of shields right now. Still very potent, especially with the recent changes where that gadget can last forever.
G2 have just got a presence on both sides of SSG at the minute. Attention towards Square, which is what we're seeing here, challenging in towards Janitor. But we've got Doki, who's worked in the loan office on the knock as well. We'll see what he does later in the round. But Loira manages to find Fultz, so there's a trade at least. But Uno was taken down. Big loss on the side of SSG. That's your smoke gone, so you've just lost a little bit of denial there. Also, big damage onto J9. I know he's lucky to get away with that. Shots going down from above quite often find the head. It's a big part of the target, but Doki's going to get caught out.
Saw the head.
Surely he saw him. How has the Legion not gone back in for some more there? He dropped himself back into sight. Benja, I would have thought that would have been far too tantalising a morsel to ignore, but no, he plays the sensible game.
You've got to win this.
Another challenge. Doki has to come away here, but no. Ashen switches to the shotgun and finds his man. Alamo gets the trade.
G2 might be securing trades, but the key thing is SSG are getting the kills first. They're whittling this team down, and there's still a clash on sides, and they can waste loads of time here. They've played it completely perfectly, always willing to play their lives in their own, the same as they were against FaZe, and G2 just cannot unravel it yet. Down to the last 20 seconds. They're going to run out of time, Tim.
Forrest needs to be careful here because the gap is being closed, and that's the issue. He needs somebody to be able to challenge and protect him, otherwise the shield break will come in. Loira manages to find Benja. J9 onto Alamo.
They can't get away with it.
Desperately needs some support here, but there's none coming. He does somehow survive. No! Loira finds both in the absolute last gasps of the round.
Let's go.
Forrest so close with the clash. It was just... I think if he goes the other side of the counter, he has a much greater chance of surviving that situation. He backed himself into a corner and he allowed that gap to be closed. There's a clash, you want to keep a little bit of distance. You don't want them right up in your face like that. So maybe just a little bit of a misstep. SSG maybe showing that they are human after all.
Maybe so. I mean, Loira, again, it's the second round this map that is all but solo won for his team.
Yeah, 11 and 6.
Back in round 5, they lost the entry, got a 3K to save his team. In this round here, he's done really well in the 2 versus 2 because for me, SSG have whittled down those numbers of G2 around the map and left it so that their actual execute was going to be really ineffective. Like, in what world is it okay to have a Ram having to chase after a clash, dug in behind the kitchen counter? Normally it's a Monty making that cross, or you go for a full sprint and a crouch down. But Loira, to a degree, pulling off the bait, having to get the diffuser down, comes off and they get 2 kills. It was a big call that they made, but they get the kills they need to get the round over the line. They've now got to find something extra, though, Tim, on these other sites because they're still down around. And SSG will be going to 2 other sites here. I imagine down in the basement and then up on the top floor again where they've already seen success. And that is all they need to get the game closed out.
Things changing up a little bit for SSG. We've got the Tachanka on site, which would suggest to me that the smoke will probably play in blue. We've got Ashen just applying Vulcan canisters out there, so that would suggest that that is going to be a position that they look to hold. I would think that the smoke plays out there, the Tachanka plays in lockers for the plant denial. Maybe vice versa, I guess, but it makes more sense to have the smoke on blue because you've got the shotgun for the close range engagement, and then you've got Forest on the Echo as well, so quite a different approach here, which Sim Forest already have some success with the Echo earlier today. I think he got a 3K with the Echo. Fantastic round from him, so definitely already warmed up on the operator.
It's more the amount of stall available to SSG here. We spoke about this a bit on the previous map, that if G2 here don't find themselves attacking in good pace, as they haven't before, let's not forget, they got stuck on blue stairs and couldn't crack it open, and then got absolutely ruined trying to hit the site itself. There's so much available to SSG that even with 60 seconds on the clock, G2 are going to struggle to close the game out.
Interestingly, the smoke is not playing on blue. They've given blue stairs up. Ashen was there to kind of soft hold it with the Goyo, but one nade goes in, burns the Vulcan, and that's it. He's retired back to server, and he's going to try to hold from there. So a little bit more of a gentle hold of server and blue from SSG. G2, they need to take advantage of that, get themselves in there and take the ground. If something's offered to you, you got to make sure that you claim it.
Well, they've heard the call that it's for free, but do they still know that there's a player dug in? Surely they know about Ashen.
Yep.
And sure enough, they do. Blaz finds his man. That's the entry of the round, going G2's way. And it's starting to look to square up to him like a pretty standard take here. Do all you can to keep it alive, but will they watch it here? He can just step back in and step straight back out again, but they've seen the drone. It is gone. Still one more available. Don't forget what I said, though, Tim. They can still waste a lot of time here with 3 smokes, with Benja, of course, on the Chanka, and they've still got a Yokai alive.
Yeah, of course. Benja is playing out in Garage, so he's got a nice straight shot through there with the Shimika launcher. Going to see Alamau going down. Uno is putting the plant down, though, and the smoke, Yokai is going to stop him. That could be big. The Toxic Babes go out. The smokes aren't really, sorry, the Shimika launcher, it's not really landing the fire in the right place from Benja, so he just needs to sort his line out. It's a bit more difficult because it takes a bounce. Lyra does manage to take him down. Lyra's going huge, double kill.
Straight up from Garage as well. He's been the X Factor in a couple of rounds. It looks like he might be in this one. 2 kills for himself, make it a 3rd. He is unleashed, really giving meaning to the demon part of his name here. G2 have pulled things square. It might not be the whole team that's awoken, Tim, but Lyra, he's here to play.
G2 have really locked in the last couple of rounds, and it makes me feel like we've got much more of a competitive matchup here. It felt like SSG were just operating on another level, like they were starting to cruise to victory, and it'd be a quick 2-0, but we're going to have that tactical timeout.
On the CEO, I'll be frank, it's in the square window side.
There is real irony in this team being so loud in game and so ridiculously quiet during timeouts that we can't
despite you.
100%. I mean, it's fairly so. Why give away you know, what the team's been thinking about, how they're working on things? Like, if you can keep it concealed, then more power to you. But that is SSG realising, all right, things are getting a bit scary now. G2 are building back into it. The one thing I'll stress, Tim, it has relied a lot on Lyra to get the job done. You can't rely on one player to constantly be the X factor. For a map, maybe, and of course, across a few rounds here, he's done just that. But if he dies in the entry, for example, then what?
The big thing for me is, I commented on the energy and the mental for G2 earlier. It looks like it's on the rise now. They're starting to feel that it's possible. They're starting to get that taste that we could do this and we could take this to a map 3. And I'm sure there's been a point where they might have been thinking that that wasn't going to happen because SSG just kind of had all the answers. But G2 definitely have dug in over the last couple of rounds, and we're seeing something a little bit more positive out them. They're starting to win the fights. They're starting to create the space. They just need to keep on walking.
Woo! All right. Walking it up towards overtime, assuming the teams can get one more round each. Wonder if this one, I think, gains a big momentum advantage as well, knowing that for SSG, they win this round, one more's all they need. G2 will be a little bit rattled by that. G2 win at SSG. Maybe you start feeling a little bit rocked that you can't get it over the line, and there we go. Fault's taken down to start. Blaz has found his man. Is this where you start seeing a comeback to a resurgence from the European side?
I think it probably is. Like I say, we've seen so many Siege games, Des. You just get a feel sometimes for the ebb and flow of games, and you just get this feeling in your bones that a team might just be picking it up. And that's what it feels like for G2 right now. Blaz with a big opener. Fultz goes down. That's the Kiba barricades off the table. A big start for G2. It's really going to help them. Fultz last time was the player in and around the castle barricade, making it difficult for them to think about repelling him, for them to think about pressuring from the windows. That's not going to be the case anymore.
I think they struggled to get the castle barricade removed. In fact, yeah, it's still in place inside of sight on B. More leaning towards Blaz here, and I think in the case there have gone 6 available. We've already tossed a nade at it and failed, but they do need this out of the way. Otherwise, it gives such a good angle of protection towards the defending team here. They can play inside sight a little bit easier. So that needs to go at some point. When it goes, of course, entirely up to them. It can be more looking towards the execute, but they have got to move things, and they're also struggling to clear away this bulletproof camera. That's difficult. If there's someone below with a C4, which I don't believe there is. No, there is not. But it doesn't mean you can't get swung, Tim, as you try and step inside.
Yeah, they've got to be doing better with those nades, that utility. Like you said, the castle barricade's still in place, the bulletproof's still in place. Got to be making sure that you've got effective use of them, just signalling that they want the wall open. That will be done as the ace charge is launched across square.
Yep.
And will start opening that wall. So they've got the wall open, they've got the window control.
It's clear where they want to plant is going to be in this corner, but I think they need a bit more. There's no real pressure inside of Janitor right now.
Yeah,
Forest has still got the Yokais, for example. Ashen has brought down that castle barricade, anticipating that this might be the execute that comes through. So it feels like SSG have read into it a little bit, Tim, and they feel somewhat ready for it as well.
25 seconds left to go. G2 are going to have to get moving, and here comes a backstab from Alamo. He's going to move his way up spiral, and SSG might not be quite ready for this. Blaz does get taken down, but here come G2. Loira again. Alamo from behind. He's slipped the net. He's got himself in. It's all up to Benja 1v3. Uno's putting the diffuser down. He's not going to be able to take him out. And that's it. The diffuser is secured, and Benja has it all to do. 1v3 fighting back. He's low health. There's no way that he gets these, surely. That's the curse.
Tim
down Loira. The final boss is gone. It's a 1v2 now. But no, Uno is there, and G2 get themselves onto map point and keep fighting in the upper bracket against SSG.
You've had a real habit of speaking some crazy things into existence this week, Tim. I was like, don't you dare, don't you dare. All right, map point.
Play against low attacks. So let's keep it up.
And his statement there is he doesn't feel that SSG can play against slower attacks. And I think we saw this against FaZe. We spoke about it actually back in their first map. Was what we got to a point of was FaZe, even on the attack of Consulate, sitting on yellow stairs for a minute and a half and just saying they'll come to us at some point. They'll be forced to move by something, whether it's drones that scare them or they get a bit impatient, they will move. And more often than not, we did see those angles being held, end up netting a kill for that side. SSG a little bit too skittish. I think if we're going into the basement, which it looks like we are, they can dig in quite happily here and don't feel the need to go wandering around the map and walking into the waiting arms of G2. G2 are going to be the ones that have to command things. So sure, slow attacks might be effective for G2, but I think downstairs they're going to need something a little bit special. It was Loira last time. Will Lightning strike twice? Or can someone else become the hero for them?
Loira at 15-7 now.
It's flying.
Having an absolute stormer of a game when G2 need it most. Before the tournament started, obviously we sit down, we do a lot of preparation, a lot of notes, and in my notes for G2 was Loira in big bold letters, exclamation mark. Is this going to be the big tournament for him? And I think he's really stepped up for G2 so far. He's definitely a star player in the making on this side, and he's proving why today.
We spoke about it during groups that when Blaz and Loira joined, I know there were a lot of question marks, like why on earth would you let Virtue go? Why would you make these changes and bring in these players like this? And it always comes back to a very common saying that we hear in competitive Siege, which is trust the process. They believe that they'd found what they needed in these two players, that there were changes needed to continue G2's build towards a successful, potentially even championship-winning team. It is getting there, at least what we saw in group stage. Of course, there's still work to do, and Loira's been putting up big numbers throughout. Still a little bit of growth needed from Blaz, I think, but even he's playing pretty well in the competition, Tim. It might take one or two more tournaments to get them to that stage where they really are world-beating teams, but at least from what we've seen, there's the potential there.
So SSG have gone back to the hold that we saw from them previously. The Tachanka and Smoke hold didn't really work. So this time it's Ashen with the Jaeger shotgun on blue stairs again, supported by Fultz inside of server. Last time around, G2 had no answer to this. They weren't able to get themselves into server. 25 seconds left to go. They just had to push main stairs and drop Vault Hatch and try and get something going. It didn't work for them. SSG read into it beautifully. Will G2 commit more this time to getting this area cleared out? It's essential for me that they succeed here.
They've got 3-4 players all squaring up for this hit by the looks of it. Tim Doki coming up through dirt, Uno, Laura and Alamau all at the ready as well. They want to break this open.
Seeing the utility start to rain in. That's going to be Kiba barricade taken out. Fultz is going to be forced to move here. He's taking damage. He's taken out. Alamau manages to get the kill, and that leaves Ashen all alone. Doki took a lot of damage along the way, but once they clear this Jaeger out, there's going to be very little to stop them getting on into sight. I imagine somebody is going to take some space inside a server so that they can push Ashen from both sides. G2 need to recognise which side the Jaeger is at, and I think they have. They know that he's moving down, so they challenge from above. They just need to keep the distance so that they've got the advantage, and they managed to find the kill. They've done it beautifully. 45 seconds left to go, and G2 are rolling here, but Benja comes out with some crazy aggression to retake with a double kill, Des!
You never expect to see it, but it's happened, and Loira's on for a 2 himself. Blaz hits one more, and Benja's on for 3, almost 4! But Alamau finds the kill he needs. G2 tie up the series against all odds, and we're going to have to go to Cafe to settle this one.
On the edge of our seats is an understatement as Benja bursts into server to retake that ground. It looked like the round might be over, but G2 were able to find a way. Alamau in the 1v1 gets the final kill. G2 hold on. Loira 17 and 8 had dropped Elevator and got yet another double in response. G2, they take us to map 3.
Growing in confidence at G2, but SSG cannot be underestimated. It's going to take 3 maps to settle this upper bracket showdown between these two teams. For now, we'll go to a break, and when we come back, our analysts will break it down for you. See you in a few.
There are many great players who are not champions, who have never lifted the hammer, who might never lift the hammer. And it's not because they aren't good enough, they just might not put in what it requires to really get there. Because they are the goods and not the greats.
There is not 1 hour of the day where your mind can be off siege. You have to sacrifice everything to win.
If you were to win any event and call it quits, it would probably be the Six Invitational.
Chegar no topo uma vez, então assim foi um momento de muita emoção.
The Invitational is, the kind of the final checkpoint, the final test. It meant the world to me.
History will be made here because for the first time on home soil, a Brazilian team will win a world championship.
The only thing that matters is the 4 guys next to you, your coach, and the screen in front of you.
No one ever really just goes and wins. You have to go through the pain, the hardships.
Phase are exploding! You have to go all in, that's it. Quem perdeu foi nós tudo ali, e a gente que vai virar isso aqui agora.
Você tem que confiar muito no seu time.
Não vamos desistir, não vamos desistir.
Baixa demais, porra!
When you truly want to become the best, you truly have to believe that you are, because you have to play it 100%.
How can it get any tighter, you might ask? Well, we have your answer. G2 bring it back and they take us to map 3, but we have to talk about a bank because these highlights, the way that they were going, it was a one-man show, but my God, we were tap dancing throughout all this, Jack.
Yeah, being real, Milosh, it looked like it was going to be more of the same. SSG started like a house on fire out there again on bank. It took one big 1v1 clutch from Blast to come out there and actually even get G2 around. And then one man stepped up. It's not the meta game, Milosh. It's the Loira game, because that's exactly what happened. 3K, 4K, 3K, 3K. The man was single-handedly carrying G2 to success, especially once he got onto the attack. He was devastating. He was so concise. He was absolutely just going for absolutely everything he could. Even there, he knew exactly what he wanted to do. Get off the plant, get the kills, that was the win condition, and he kept doing it.
And that is why you never give a clutch to a team like G2. That is exactly the kind of thing that will completely swap the momentum, give them the energy to go back in it. And if you look at the beginning, SSG 3-1, for me the biggest round difference is round 5. That's when they started playing. That's when they started feeling confident, Jack.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, just showing that Loira there, 17-8 on the KD. Absolutely massive for him. And I think he was a player that obviously G2 looked to. And they brought him in all the way over from Brazil for Stage 2. Didn't have the best Stage 2, didn't have the best 6 months, to be honest, joining G2. But in the LCQs and in this tournament, started to come alive and really realize that potential.
For me, Loira was the turning point. Not only did he get 17 kills, but he did at a very important moment. Initial kill here into round 9 to get into the bomb site. Mind you, it's 3-5. And they're about to lose. 8 seconds left. Clash is still in kitchen. He fakes the plant, and as soon as he hears the drop, goes for the fight here, and then kills the Clash straight after. That's insane. Here, again, they're in the wrong position. 30 seconds left, 4v4. He gets not only one, he will get a second kill here onto red. It's now a 4v2, and he gets a third pick all the way deep into red and saves the day for G2. Now 2 rounds in a row. That's the lure I show for you, just fragging their way into it. And at the last moment, match point, he's the one that gets the pick onto blue stairs. And when things are not going well for these guys, he's the one that drops and gets another kill into red, straight headshot, and a smoke after that.
He's so decisive. All 3 of those clips, he knew exactly what he needed to do and when he needed to do them. Even when there was such little time left on the clock there, that decisiveness literally won G2 rounds and won them the game.
3 rounds. He saved 3 rounds of 3 multi-kills.
If I may add to the wonderful graphic that you had in the pregame, a 4th key to success: never give up. And that's exactly what we got from Loira and G2. We're going to map 3. We'll take a quick break. See you in a moment.
Ouais, choc-les, choc-les, ouais, choc-les, 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 ouais, voilà ce qu'ils me disent, les entends parler et ils m'étrisent, j'arrête que pour rappeler la mise, petit pas sur la piste et le succès je l'ai pisté, disent que la place du premier, fais monter la côté, sur moi tu mises gros, tu connais déjà l'équipe, ça criera au complot, je prends le double, on est quitté, je fais la magie des chiffres. La somme je la triple, la concurrence la dribble et le stade est en délire, ça fait choquer, j'arrive pour tous les choquer, toute la foule elle est choquée, j'espère que t'es accroché, gauche, droite, esquive rageux, coach m'a rajouté du temps de jeu, dans l'action ouais je me sens en feu, je suis on fire, je fais la différence au compteur, money time ça shoot sur le buzzer, je suis on fire, choqué, j'arrive pour tous les choquer, toute la foule elle est choquée, j'espère que t'es accroché, j'arrive pour tous les choquer, toute la foule elle est choquée, j'espère que t'es accroché.
I'm Doki, and this is my own operator.
My name is Alemão. This is my operator.
Alright.
The nationality I would pick my operator would be from Antarctica. I love the cold.
Scottish. Same as me.
My operator's ability would be, you know those windows, those metal windows in the map that you cannot open? Like, he could open those bulletproof windows because, like...
I have a tool, like Maverick, that can just make holes in the reinforces, or like change the reinforces on defense. That'd be crazy. Imagine you have a cool angle. I'm sick.
My operator would have like a foxtail. I don't know, it just came up in my mind.
He has like metal legs that just make him run super fast. He's like a 4-speed. He's like a 4-speed operator. He's just so fast. Operator's name...
Foxy.
It's Bob. It's Bob the Builder.
We're gonna have to workshop that, but you know, clearly G2 are known for their creativity. And we know that they absolutely do get it from both Doki and Alemão, right?
Doki made Maverick.
Yes. Well, I want him to have an ability just like Maverick, but then also
put on defense. Yeah.
But,
okay.
Anyways, we got a game on our hands. For those that missed the first 2 maps, well, both G2 and SSG traded blows to take us to map 3, Cafe Dostoyevsky. Let's have a chat, because for me, I am Mr. Dumbo Himbo looking on the outside. I don't know what's going on. I'm thinking, man, this should be close. G2 were 8-0 undefeated. SSG were looking really good earlier today. And then what happens map 1? It was just awful. Garbage from G2. Loira brings it back on map 2. What happens now?
Normally, I would say, Milos, the team that wins map 2 in a best of 3 will win map 3. Momentum is huge. However, I will also say, I judge games and maps and rounds based off the team that controls them, not necessarily the team that ends up winning them. SSG controlled Chalet, SSG also controlled Bank, but for Loira making some hero plays. That is not reliable enough for G2. So in my mind, this is still SSG's game to lose.
For me, this is the big point. The main win condition for G2 on Bank was the Loira show. That's it. It was him going bonkers with 3 or 4 kills. And SSG was in control strategically of the entirety of the game. Now SSG starting in Cafe, in defense, one of the more defender-sided maps of the meta. If you've got to close out everything, actually they're switching, they need to go attacks. So if you need to change things off, it will be tough for SSG to control that aggression. One of the main things that I want to see from them is try to shut down Loira or Alemão, the big fraggers on the team, whenever they're in attack, because I can see them go aggressive in defense.
Very much looking forward to how this game will go. Thank you very much, Alpha Man Fresh. We have to decide who takes our 3rd map in this series, who makes it directly to the main stage on Friday. That's for Ace and Dez to take us through it.
Yes, it is, Milos, and what a game it's going to be as well, Tim. I do agree with the analyst comments, though, which kind of feels like a downer moment to have, but it did still feel like SSG were the ones that control Bank, and that is my concern. It was the Loira show, but with a little bit of belief behind them, a few words of magic during the break there. Will G2 have a better showing here on Cafe? I'd expect so.
Well, you're back in G2 in the socials. That's actually improved since Bank, 61-39 now. Think that G2 get this done. I think people put a lot of stock in the fact that a team has won that second map. But like Fresh said, it's the manner in which it was won that may just hang a little question mark over G2's momentum coming in here. Grim is going to be our first ban. That was actually G2's ban because, as we've said countless times now, it's reversed. The blue side is on the defense, so a little UI bug. So these are SSG's bans.
And SSG banning away the Blackbeard here, mainly against Doki, but also against Blaz has played quite a bit of this.
I definitely saw Doki play Blackbeard on Shackle.
He's definitely played it 6 times so far this week, mate. Yeah, 100%. So it being taken away for that exact reason. And then the Azami to follow as the final ban, again coming in against Doki. But did see Loira playing it in the first round of the last map. So not wholly surprised, also seeing it removed away here for Cafe. Can make some real strong defensive positions up around Piano is a good example, but also generally spread across that top floor and down inside of Kitchen. Here we go though, Tim. It's going to be G2 starting on the defense. It's SSG on the attacking side. You will give a bit of a lean to G2, knowing that Cafe generally sees quite successful defenses, but given how SSG have played so far, they've said forget about the stats, Des. We can crush anyone who stands before us when we move forward as a team. And that'll be the big thing for them to get this map over the line, Tim. It will be all about team play. Let's see if they start out successfully. We've had a flawless round back on our first map of Chalet, a flawless round to start out map 2 on Bank. Will we get another from SSG to keep the trend going?
G2 kick things off on defense. It's going to be reading room and dining to start with. So they're going to be looking to hold on to top floor. I'm just looking at what lineup they've got. They've got the Jaeger. They've got the Warden in there. A little Soulless. Interested to see where Doki plays that, what the use case is going to be. We've got... Usually you're looking to draw a line across Freezer, really, and hold everything behind it. So you're looking on the sort of cocktail side of things. Just hold on for as long as you can. So we're going to have the Vulcan canisters put down under the skylight. This could be...
Interesting.
I was going to say, this could be a hell of a start from Alamo. You can just switch weapons and it'll put it back in your pocket, Alamo. You don't have to throw it.
Want to learn. Maybe just unbound, switch weapon.
Maybe.
Relies only on the primary. It's all he needs.
Maybe.
Well, sure enough, early on, Doki causing a few shots down around the restaurant area, thinking nothing else to draw attention from SSG. Has then gone straight up round to start rejoining his team. On that Soulless, we'll be trying to cause a bit of bother, picking away drones throughout the map, and IC4 over towards Y is the right sort of idea, but it sticks to the top of the window frame and won't find Ashen. So right position, just not quite the right flight path.
Just needs to work on that lineup a little bit. If that sails out of the window, it could have been a different story. Ashen's sort of playing with fire a little bit at the minute. He is put himself over to the right-hand side of that rappel. He's challenging onto the windows himself, but he does leave himself exposed to a potential peak. G2 actually holding this quite high. Normally you'd see a lot of players kind of behind Lumber and further, you know, dropping out of Freezer, really getting that reinforced and just playing in cocktail, but they are playing quite aggressively up here with Lyra the furthest forward at the minute inside of Freezer. But Doki just working underneath. I mean, you know, having the verticals underneath, if you can find somebody from the Soulless, maybe on a drone, something like that, once they get top floor control, if they do get top floor control, then of course there could be some real value there.
They can. If nothing else, it's taking down those drones, as I mentioned, though, right? They've already chewed through 6 of those, and SSG still trying to search their way through this top floor, taking out what they can. Once they've got that control and the verticals start getting opened up, then sure, we'll start having a conversation about the work that Doki can do from below. Imagine it'd be much more about a retake onto the top floor from him, and sure enough, here comes one coming up top. He skipped away at the wrong time, but it is Fultz coming away with the kill onto Blaz. It's the Jaeger falling down. The Hibana put down to about half HP, but a kill is a kill, Tim.
It is. They don't have top floor control though yet, which could be the problem. Doki manages to pick up Ash, and Forest continues to try to work from pillar, but doesn't really recognise that Doki has rotated around to read indoor. Lyra picks up Fultz, and all of a sudden, SSG on the back foot massively. J9O wandering through the middle of site, but he needs to get 4 kills if he wants to get anything going. Doesn't have diffuser in hand, so he can't even use that as an opportunity. And once he gets one, the problem is they know where he is now. So G2 are going to be ready and waiting. They don't need to peek this Doki, but he has a look around the corner, gets taken down. 1v4 becomes 1v2, and I tell you what, it becomes a lot more winnable.
Eyes on the diffuser, mind you. There's one real close here as well. Sees his man. Ain't going to win the gunfight, though, as Alamo goes the other way. They win out that 2 versus 1. G2 building in a bit of confidence here. The thing is, they don't even seem to be aware that Doki was hanging around inside his sight. The drops came through, and 2 players died to him, absolutely with no idea what was going on. And they pay the price from that. They lose all of their steam in the round, and SSG not starting out strong on the attack. G2, though, a very successful first defense.
An interesting point of the game that we have reached as well, Des.
Yeah.
The first time that G2 have been ahead.
Yes.
At any point.
Except
when you look at the matchup as overall. Yeah. So they were behind on Chalet consistently. The whole time on Bang, they were at least 1 map behind. But now they are out and out in the lead.
I see what you're saying. I'm with you.
They are out and out in the lead at this point. 1 map apiece and 1 round up.
What I did think was quite cute was, again, break between games, the players get up, they go to wait to the little area, it's going to have a chat outside away from the playing area. And Benji was walking with a few of the G2 guys and just chatting and having a laugh still. So as much as it is a lot of competition and a lot of smack talking game itself, it doesn't follow outside a game. And I think a few others could take a few notes from that one, to be honest with you, Tim. Here we go for round 2, kicking things off. It's going to be G2 up on that 2nd floor once again. Sorry, down in the kitchen this time around. Got the Yokais being brought along that we spoke about previously, seeing teams having to hide these away in much more creative fashion than before. You can't just stash them away on site. There's been a lot of Twitch play going on, for example, so seeing teams hiding them inside a VIP and then rolling them into site later into the round and then looking to use them for the denial. But it's a very big heavy stall comp. So SSG, if they're going for a full map clear here, they're going to have to get a wiggle on quite early on.
Yeah, G2 have dropped away from anything above the first floor, so they're all down there on the kitchen level, and they're just going to be looking to clear those verticals. SSG, once they recognise that, can go in and take control of the map. They've got the book, they've got the rams, so they can do that vertical work that they're going to want to, and then start pushing on down from there. So really the question is, how quickly do SSG recognise that, and how quickly do they take advantage of that?
Absolutely. Now it's... Oh, out the window!
How about
Didn't see the second play. Oh, he was the other side. Okay, fair enough. I thought Benja had gone down on this near side. It would have been an easy 2K for him, but Benja was on drones, comes off, gets the trade back, far from the end of the world, but it's the buck that's gone, Tim. That vertical destruction, that's a stinger.
I think you take that trade all day long. The Goyo's utility is already down. Yes, they've got the ram, but that puts more pressure on J9O now. It's maybe a little bit more limited in terms of what they can do on the verticals, so definitely a better pick for G2 overall, I think, and it just kind of sends a message as well. You've got that entry, you've taken the onus in the round, you've gone in there and you're getting the job done.
I was going to say, it's only got 2 of these boogie drones available, both now being used to roll their way through mining in towards train. I think it was a fair enough read there. I think Una trying to impact one out, thinking, well, cool, then they're down to a limited number now. If we can take it out, then actually they don't get the angles they need. But they've got a lot done here. They have got the angles that they need, so it's not a terrible spot to be in. Of course, would open up a lot more if they still had that buck on side. It's looking all right for G2. Now the Yokai is sat inside. Flores drone in place as well, taking away the Vulcan on the wall. Now it's destroyed away. It'll burn out for about, what, 15 seconds or so? Then it'll be available once more. Yokai still in place, and I don't know if SSG are fully aware that it's there, Tim.
SSG just taking full advantage for the time being of the control that they've got, but with 50 seconds left to go, they need to start thinking about the next stage here, which is they've dealt with a lot of the utility now. It's about how do we get onto site? Where is this execute going to happen? Importantly, Doki at the minute, you're not going to see him on your screen, but he's hidden away in VIP behind the tree. If they don't deal with this position and they go for a freezer drop and a freezer push, Doki could well jump up and just run in behind them here and cause absolute mayhem in the last 20 seconds.
I don't think they heard Doki, even with the phone call coming out here. He's got a good chance to swing, and no, they did not. Benja down for free. It was good cover from his teammate at the bottom of Brown. Alamau into another, and G2, they've stalled them out long enough to, even if they couldn't get the kills, there's still the Yokai available. J9O will do his best, but yet again, he cannot take down the remaining players of G2, and they're up 2-0.
Feels like SSG have boarded the struggle bus a little bit here, Des. They're certainly not as efficient or effective as we saw them in the first sort of map and a half. We're going to have the tack time out coming in early as well, only 2 rounds.
If you heard any of that, then you've got Superhuman here in fair play to you. A little bit about basement sites and things like that, but really nothing too discernible, as always. Keeping things pretty under wraps in terms of coach contribution. I'll say the same thing I said before. I think it's quite interesting how they're one of the noisiest teams in-game, but their coach must be the quietest I think I've probably ever seen. Call out really not giving much away.
No, and it's, I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense with the timeouts, but SSG's are very, very coach-led. There doesn't tend to be too much player input. Some of them we see, you know, your coach will speak for sort of 20 seconds and then your IGL might be involved as well and they'll say some things. But for SSG, it is very much led by call-out throughout that time. He's using every second that he can to just deliver that information to his team. So let's see if SSG can turn anything around here after that tack timeout. But obviously, call-out not happy with what he has seen so far. This one is in danger of potentially running away from them a little bit here, Des. They need the next couple of rounds just to try and square things up. They are on Cafe, so attacking is not going to be easy. G2 have got that to face in the second half. SSG just need to keep in touch. That's the important thing. They need 2 rounds, I would say at least, so that they don't have a huge mountain to climb, because if it was a 5-1, for example, you're then 2 rounds away from dropping to the lower bracket, and that starts to eat at you.
It's crazy given how dominant they were back on that first map. G2 felt like they were boys standing up against men. It wasn't even close. Even though they got the 2 rounds, it was down to the moments of brilliance more than anything else. That second map much tighter, but it still felt like SSG had the control of the tempo of the game. I think here on map 3, though, it's very fair to say G2 are the ones running the show.
Plenty of attention coming from the east side as Fultz and Benjo managed to get opening kills. Whatever call-out said, certainly seems to have worked. Ashen goes in aggressive onto Blaz. This has fallen apart for G2. 1 versus 5 already. We're not a minute into the round. Doki underneath on the mirror. He's just going to be chased down here. They've got the blitz. They know exactly what's coming. He gets one, but the trade is there. That's going to be a very solid response from SSG following that tactical timeout.
It was much better from them in terms of their attack as well. Like, I know on the previous couple of rounds there's more to do, there's more to clear. You need the verticals, for example. But in that round, just saying, right, now it's go time, boys. They jump in, and there's 3 or 4 players dead inside all of about 3 seconds. It was much more like what we've seen from SSG across those previous 2 maps. G2 are very much stuck, I think, somewhat trapped in by their own castle barricades as well. Didn't have the ability to get away from White Corridor, and so they got absolutely crushed. Blasted at the very least, holding off towards Pixel. So good stuff. SSG are now on the board. Still 2-1 to G2, with the second quarter coming up now, where I imagine we'll see the same rotation of sides again.
I've got a feeling that this one is going to get a little bit close. I don't think SSG, with the way that they've played throughout the day against FaZe and G2, are just going to be rolled over and disappear into the lower bracket. G2 are certainly not here to give this up, and they've been looking much better, particularly at the back end of Bank and now the start of Cafe. Night and day different from the team that we saw on Chalet. They've really had to dig deep here, and it's another important question when we talk about G2 as potential winners of this event, as potential champions again. It's always important, as I say, that teams can win hard. You've got to be able to win the tough games when you're really stretched. Do you have the resilience to come back into it? And right now, G2 are showing us exactly that quality.
Double Swarm Peaks coming out. Doki and Laura both aiming to find someone in the early round, but SSG giving them nothing. Good discipline there to not lose anyone too early on, but by the looks of it, Doki and Laura didn't fancy hanging on those windows too long. We've seen too many times where players overstay their welcome on a Spawn Peak and pay the price very, very quickly. It's now Blaz playing at the bakery door, hoping that someone steps out his way, but SSG are pushing elsewhere. They're worried about the roof. It's where often you'll start things out. Otherwise, it's a couple of players out towards the east. Alamau thinking he's got a better line at this time around him. Really wants his man with that C4.
He's going to keep practicing it. He's going to keep trying it. I'm not sure it's going to land. Ashen is already safe on the line of the building, so should be fine. Little run out there from Blaz. Again, just trying to keep SSG thinking, keep them guessing, let them know that they are not safe in that position. As it is, SSG not overcommitting to anything. They've got themselves up onto the roof on the east side. Again, it feels like they're back to that SSG of trying to build a picture, not being drawn into the round. They're going to build their picture, they're going to find where everybody is, and they're going to decide when it's go time.
Yeah, the slower attack, I think, is a better way of playing it out until you see the opportunity. Uno almost being tagged out. No one on the piano side means he's free to escape out towards that side of the map. Alabal also falling low. Blaz taking shots. And 3 players here that, I won't go as far as saying lucky Tim, but very narrowly avoided death at the hands of SSG.
I think Alamo just caught Ashen with his nitro there eventually. Ashen going to take a little bit of damage, but not too much. They've been sort of pushed back from these windows for the time being. Blaz being down in pillar, but Ashen manages to find himself an easy one as Alamo. He's been absolutely gasping to get something done on that window throughout this round, and it's not worked out. 5 versus 4 for SSG, but we come into the final minute. They do have top floor control, but do they have long enough to do enough with it? Forest manages to find Blaz. That's really going to get them going.
Oh, you can't miss that.
You can't. That was their opportunity, G2.
You've lost to a pistol as well. That's a real screamer from Uno. Should have done better with the opportunity. Doki and Loira. Loira especially had some big moments, but now they've got to do it all against the 5-man strong roster of SSG. They've only got 30 seconds to play here, so a couple of upset kills could be enough to get things moving, but Doki might be about to step into a player behind him, I'm pretty sure. One up on New Balkan. Sure enough, Ashen was there ready and waiting, and he nets the kill. SSG warming into Cafe Tim.
What a turnaround after that tactical timeout. Call out has intervened there, and SSG have really turned the momentum of this one. They've got those 2 attacks that I said was the minimum. Anything extra now is a bonus, a big bonus for SSG before they go onto the defensive side.
We got Fresh with the call in though. Fresh, what you thinking so far?
I was just thinking about the site selection there for G2, guys. The fact that they went to go for the middle floor again, that was 2 rounds in a row. The first round after the timeout and then the second round after the timeout. It was a big call given that they played the top floor and the basement and won both of them. It didn't pay off. And in a game that's so based around confidence for these two teams, that's a massive call that's gone in favor of Spacestation Gaming.
Thank you very much, Professor. Appreciate your input on that one. 2-2. Tim, we're stepping away from the site by the looks of it. We are going back down to that kitchen. So on the same track as Jack here, I think. I like that one. Track as Jack. They've got to find themselves on a different side to jump into. That took me a bit too much, that one. The same track as Jack. Nice. They did well down here last time, to be fair. A lot of it was on Doki being ratted away inside a VIP, lay down behind that Christmas tree, looking for some presents under there. Nothing being given to him for the longest time until an SSG player come barreling down white and he gets a freebie off the back of it. Don't suspect with the blitz at the front this time round, joined up by the Sense and that Dokkaebi though, that G2 are going to get such an easy ride here in round 5.
No, I don't think that's going to be the case. I think SSG will have learnt their lesson there. It may even be something that Callight's picked up on. Look, you know, when we've attacked that site, we've let them get away with one there. We need to know where everybody is. But ultimately, G2 here, like Fresh says, you know, maybe they go to the kitchen, they go up to the top floor, they win those sites that they've already locked down, they get their 4-2 half. We kind of come away with no real advantage for anybody, and the big question remains then, can G2 have a better half on the attack or not? But SSG, if they can continue this momentum, get themselves, it's close, but it's not the one. If they can continue this momentum and get themselves a third, then you start to worry if you're a G2 fan, or you should do.
Needs to be coming out strong in this half, 100%. Else the worry starts to mount. Spotted 2 players here inside a bakery, so quite a strong, resolute defense coming out from G2, wanting to give no ground over to SSG. We've got 3 players on this side of the map. Phone call coming on through. No one stepped forward and gone aggressive yet, but with the Sens also lining up, Tim, I imagine that's going to start about now.
Yeah, SSG looking to get themselves inside a wedding, potentially, in numbers here, but Uno is at the bottom of red stairs. They'd be better off not jumping in, to be honest, because they've got Doki on a crossfire as well. Benja does take down Uno, and that frees things up, but I think there is Doki managing to find one onto Forest. As I said, it wasn't the whole problem, wasn't the bottom of red, and that's just broken the back of that push a little bit, and it's meant that SSG have just had to relocate. We've had an early battle at the beginning of the round, about the halfway mark, and they've come away with even spoils.
Doki's got himself dug deeper inside here, the other side of the castle barricade if wanted. Now jumps back over again. He was quite desperate to find someone that's feeling a little bit cheeky, a little bit peeky onto that bakery window, and nothing is given. Benja into a second, the trade is there, but elsewhere, it's Ashen bringing down Doki. So I was going to say, with him holding inside a bakery, it might be a little bit tough still for SSG to move on forwards, but the roadblock has been removed, and Blaz has got it all to do. Sees his man down to about a quarter of his HP, and he's in hot trouble at this point, Tim. 45 seconds to play.
Yeah, he's surrounded. That's the problem. There's one above, there's one bottom red. The one above has just come down Brian stairs to join Benja on that side. They can start flooding into sight. They know they've got him 3v1 here. They're all on pretty much full health apart from Volts. It was a matter of time until Ashen cuts him down, and that there could be a key round for SSG in this matchup. Even if G2 get their final defense and it goes 3-3, if SSG are then able to put in a better defense performance and go 4-2, you've basically won it with that extra attack.
G2 really need to get this round, otherwise I completely think SSG are the ones walking away with the map win and the series win. Let's not forget, this is map 3. It has been SSG's world, and we're all just living in it. G2 being dragged along for the ride at points. If not for some magical Loira play, I don't think we'd be here on this map 3. But here we are, and they've warmed back into it themselves. We thought G2 might be in a bit of a comeuppance with the first 2 rounds. SSG just say, nope, we're still here and ready to play. It took a couple of tweaks, guys, and now they're here and ready to cook. Last round of the half coming up then. G2 defending the top floor this time around, so not repeating that downstairs, not trying the first floor because they've already seen a lot of failures down there. Top floor will be where this half ends.
You feel if G2 lose this round, do I want to use the word catastrophic? I'm not sure I'd go that far with a 4-2 half. It is certainly doable for them to come back on the attack. but losing the defensive half 2-4 will be, without a doubt, a huge blow in terms of this matchup. As Fresh pointed out, it's a real confidence-based matchup. We've seen that. You know, when the teams have been down, the energy drops and the other one just starts to roll off a few rounds one after another. So losing this first half on the defense is going to be a tough one for G2 to take, I'm sure. May not be the case yet. Alamar is still obsessed with this white window. He loves it. He loves it, doesn't he? He really wants to get something going out of there. But Benjamaster was approaching on the gridlock. But again, I think he's just well aware of the potential danger. You know, you've been here every round, Carl. They know that you're going to be on the white window.
There's the bait C4. They can get away from far here. So
there you go.
Explodes it before they can shoot it. Nice. Wasted a bit of time, mind you. Even though he was sat there being spotted by a drone, I was like, I don't think he seems to care, because he knows the only way they can get him is by being on that rappel, and he'd see the grapple hook long before he saw the player himself. Opts to back away. I don't want to see him holding around that area too long. He has now stepped inside a cocktail. It was that 1.5 minute hold last time where he eventually tried to run down white stairs, and it was at that moment that Ashen stepped across to the swing and got himself a freebie. So I'm glad that this time he's used the C4 and has now chosen to step away.
Hatch is open, blitz in position, ready to go. They're just, again, the due diligence is there from SSG. Let's find out absolutely everything that we're dealing with, where everybody is. Let's get that mental map made, and then we can start going in and getting kills. Doki, however, is going to pick up faults. That's the ace gone, so there'll be no hard breaching, which may not be the end of the world for a top floor push, but it might be nice to open freezer wall, for example. They've got no idea that Blaz is in that position, but he can't get the job done. And the push comes through from SSG, and once again, Des, they are finding a way.
Oh, you have to know that this is going to happen, Doki. Benja's been waiting for him, and it gets the down at the very least. Uno with 2 more still to find. We've got a minute to play, though, Tim. He's got to get a 4K in the round, and with Benja and Jano knowing exactly where he is, I'd say this one's looking pretty cut.
Benja and Jano need to be need to be careful. They were stacking up. They were right on top of each other there. They both came through Timber, both moved. You basically got Jano stood directly behind Benja there. I'm like thinking, you're going to get both of you shot through here. We saw it for, I think it was at PSG Talon we saw it. You got to be careful with that. You got to be careful. No, it was Scars, wasn't it? It was the 1v5 clutch against Scars from Diaz. You know, you've got to be careful with that swinging together. But Benja finds his shots, takes down Uno. SSG with an unbelievable 4-2 attacking half on Cafe. You got to say, it swung back in their favour again.
They're just so good at turning up the tempo when they need to. I mean, I'm not going to lie for Blaz, that is pretty unforgivable. You know the player's gone for the rounding. You know that he's pushing around to the other side, and you just let him get away with it. Real pain, because Ashen there was the one charging into bar and tearing stuff up, causing a lot of bother. And like that, SSG Tim have got 4 attacks in a row to enter a commanding lead going into their defense. Now, G2 back on the last map figured it out a little bit on their attacking side. If they play a little bit slow, they generally find success against SSG. We said the same about the game against FaZe. It's where SSG get a little bit impatient. You find SSG start moving around a little bit, and you start picking up kills for free. But given how dug in this comp looks, for me, Tim, it looks like they're going to rely on G2 being stalled out around the map and having no time to actually hit the site itself.
Very much so. Forrest, we've spoken at length about his play on the Clash today. It's been excellent at times. He's won rounds without a doubt with the shield.
Absolutely.
So no surprise to see them getting straight away. Forrest, get on the Clash. Let's make life as difficult as possible for G2. G2 stacking up at the moment over towards Bakery. We've got 3 over that way. Lyra, Doki and Uno are all over there, with the others, I think, looking a little bit towards the upper floors to try and get some verticality going. They've got the Ram on side, so they're going to want to get Alamau in there to open things up. That could help them with the Clash, definitely. They've got the Capitao as well, which will enable them to deal with that shield. G2 need an entry kill.
I just worry more than ever that it looks like SSG know what G2 are going to do. Think about how perfectly they countered them on the defense of Bank down in the basement. Ready with that Jaeger shotgun, sat up there behind the drone blockers with the Vulcan canisters, the 3 ADSs. They just looked like they knew what G2 were going to do before G2 themselves even know it was coming. And it feels somewhat the same here. There's no shield to come charging in to be pushed back by the Clash, but I'm just worried that Forrest is going to be able to waste so much time here. And assuming they even get inside, well, you've got a smoke to deal with, you've still got Benja, no C4s left here to play behind, but you've also got smokes to chew through. They'll do really well at stalling G2 out here, and Doki going down, not the ideal spot on that small wedding window.
No, it's really not, and the problem is, out of 7 rounds now, G2 have only had 2 entry kills, and it is starting to burn them down. It's starting to make things difficult for them because they're constantly playing in a 4v5. The clash of Forest just again holding things up. The support is there from J9O. This is clinical from SSG as Fultz takes down Blaz, and once again, the North American side are 5 versus 2. There's a lot of damage been done across the board. It's the 1+ point for G2 at the minute. Forest, Benja, J9O all on half or less pretty much health. But G2, they need the next 2 kills at least.
Yes.
At least.
1% or 100%, the gun is still just as effective. Sure, the player might die sooner to less body shots, but they can still catch you out with a single headshot and it all gets chewed apart from there. Damage is all well and good, Tim. As you say, we need kills, and we need them soon because we aren't seeing Superstar Lawyer appearing so far yet on this map. Yep, Doki's got a few kills to his name, but that's not what they need. They need far more than that. Alamal steps in, and Benja's going to fall down, but look at that. Ashen elsewhere has found Uno. All to do here, Alamal facing off against the Clash. This one is most definitely done, as he'll just bleed out here to the damage as it starts to rack up.
Yeah, exactly that. Even when the Clash runs out of energy for the shield and is waiting on the recharge like they are now, there's a chance somebody just pops up and shoots him, but as it is, full recharge. Ashen is going to be the one. That's a shame for Forrest there. He's done so much work burning Alamo's health down with that Clash shield, and just as Alamo's about to die, Ashen goes pop. There, that's my kill.
We've got another timeout coming in here as the headset of call-out is down, and here we go. Let's have a listen to what G2 are doing to get themselves out of this sticky situation.
They probably gonna go top to 4, like reading from sides. Let's do this little tactics now, guys, because they expect things we did. White execute all these things. Plus, so we do the piano attack, plus stay holding, if they go for top floor, stay holding the cigar. Then after take cigar, after take piano, we can split to go do the shepherd, okay guys? And for reading, plus for reading for train, let's do the shepherd since from the beginning, okay guys? To be honest, if they go train, I think you could do the split bait, okay guys? Because the split bait didn't show against them in the tracks. But you also look at the position and try to pick what is best, because they change everything, okay guys? Let's go guys.
I'll be a little bit, I won't say controversial here, maybe a little bit strongly opinionated. I haven't been super blown away by the timeouts coming out of Romalio. And with backroom staff, they can do a lot of impact away from the game itself. It's not at all to take that away. The boys will defend him to the high heavens, as they will cameraman. You know, they back the backroom staff an awful lot. I'm just worried that there's not quite enough substance to what is being said during these timeouts, at least from the couple that we've heard, to have a big influence on these games. Now, could be completely wrong, and G2 will figure this one out, and they'll start bouncing their way back in. But they're 3 rounds down, and I'm just not 100% convinced we've got enough coming out during that timeout to make a difference.
2 rounds away from dropping to the lower bracket. The time is now or never for G2. SSG could become one of the big hopes for North America here. They could start carrying the dreams of a region on their shoulder as their performances just seem to get better and better as this tournament goes on. And this matchup against G2 is absolutely no exception to that. They have risen to each challenge. Coming into the day, would you have said SSG, 3rd place in the group? Yeah, they're going to beat FaZe. Yeah, they're going to beat G2. What a day you've got ahead of you there. And they are 2 rounds away from coming away with what could be a classic SI day.
Yeah, I mean, not over on the A stream, it's also spicing up quite a bit, so you're going to find out who the opponent of Spacestation will be on Friday based on how that 3rd series goes. They're also in the 3rd map. It is neck and neck, and both games are following a very similar trajectory, Tim. Really, it's proven to be 2 proper heavyweight matchups. NA versus EU. Of course, these 2 teams here, and BDS versus Unwanted on the B stream, running at the same time. It's certainly keeping things spicy.
Defending reading room here, SSG. Then they're going to, of course, be holding on to that top floor as expected. G2 applying a lot of pressure from the east side. 3 players at the minute over there, and I think SSG well aware of that. Just a little bit cautious here of the potential for somebody pushing up white. Don't worry, Forrest, there's nobody there.
For now.
Of course, he's not to know that. I think he's heard the barricade taken out. Loira's down at the very bottom, but hasn't moved in yet. Is going to get aggressive potentially here, but the barbed wire would have given him away. How about this? A battle that Doki wins, takes down Benja, but is moved around by the nade. just stood inside a sight, looking to pick up some kills.
Got the down as well. That's nice for him to get a second. Doki really stepping in and taking charge. And now that he's underneath him, with those scans available, he can start picking out players above and going clay pigeon shooting.
Yeah, we're really going to see what value there is in the verticals here, because SSG are not going to have much of a choice but to try and hold on. And that's the value. Doki taken down. And SSG, it just seems no matter the position they are put in, Des, they always find a way. Blaz, he manages to take down Ashen. Surely this is a round that goes to G2 as Uno gets that diffuser down.
It's a great read from G2, knowing there are a couple of players flying around Cocktail, and they plan completely the opposite side of things down on this ground floor, on the second floor, sorry. Gino know with it all to do, a 1 versus 4. Trying to do what he can. I mean, he's certainly being helped out by Uno there, who's brought down Blaz at the same time. This full nod of apology there, I'd expect, but it's still around for G2. 5-3 to SSG.
Look, at the end of the day, you don't care who kills who. If the round goes your direction, you move on and you go next. Simple as that. G2 just getting caught up in the excitement of trying to get the kill onto J9O there, but a good round from them. Doki, this is kind of the players that G2 are going to need here. They need a hero. We saw it with Lyra back on bank. They need somebody to step up and say, I'm not going down to the lower bracket, not like this. So Doki walks into sight, a big 2K, and it really propels them to the round.
It gets a bit messy after that point, to be fair. I really thought Doki would get one of those scanners out there and be looking for players that he knows are above him at this point. They've got control of sight, but instead he sits there, lets the Doki be cool come out, and a kill comes from above him, which he does nothing in response. More a minor criticism than anything, as at the end of the day, his team did get the job done, even if there was a... I mean, that
replay did nothing to suggest that it was an accident.
No, that doesn't do to defend Uno's case, does it? No.
Not really. Not really. That screams... Stop getting in my ankle. This is my kill.
All right. I mean, we'll take it. The round was theirs, and that's what matters most. SSG still 2 rounds away, though, from securing that win. Moving on to face against the winner of BDS versus Unwanted. G2 has still got 4 rounds to get on their side to get the same fate. It could yet be an overtime game, Tim. I know that the series has been a bit back and forth, but this one feels pretty tight overall. I'd still say that overall it's dependent on how SSG perform in the round and strictly how G2 perform in the round, so I'd give momentum lean towards them. Still feels like they're the ones who are in control of their own destiny here, and it's G2 have still got to find another level, another gear, if they want to get it over the line.
Well, there's so many things at play. Cafe could just play out as an attacker-sided map today. We see it happen all the time. SSG are under pressure now. What a day they've had. They're on the verge of beating FaZe, beating G2, and keeping themselves in the top bracket. It's absolutely huge. This gives them a guarantee of a spot in the live finals here in Boston. It's unreal. That will apply a degree of pressure to them. I'm sure these players are more than capable of dealing with that, but still, it has an impact, and it might just give G2 that room to get a couple more.
You know what is really crazy? Not a single player on G2 is above negative or above neutral, sorry, in terms of KD. I think it's just Lyra who's on a +0. Everyone else is negative. On the side of SSG, you've got Ash on a +10, J9 on a +10, Benja and Fultz on a +8. They are by far and away outplaying G2, yet they're only a couple of rounds ahead at this point. It's crazy to think that that's just how tight it is, despite the outperformance that we're seeing from them. Lyra bringing down Benja on the entry, a good start for G2.
The comeback really could be on here. That's exactly what G2 needed a couple of rounds ago. I picked up on their lack of entry kills. That ain't gonna work. Ashen's got the glasses on, but that will. Doki manages to find J9O, takes out the Wamai. Ashen taking damage, but he knows they're repelling in. Beautifully played by G2. There's that team play that we're expecting from them. Alamau is there to impact on the death of his teammate. 4 versus 2 now, and SSG, they are scrambling Fultz. He's just trying to hold on inside a reading, try and prevent anything going laterally, but no. Lyra manages to find him. It's all up to Forest in a 1v4, Des.
And they know exactly where he is. He's full blinded, but gets rid of Lyra in the process. Alamau steps in for the conversion. 5-4, Tim. Back within a 1-round striking distance. This is feeling tight.
It's happening. It is happening step by step. G2 are dragging themselves back into this. We thought when SSG had that 4-2 attacking round that they may well just push on. They got their first defense. It seemed to be going all their way. But a tactical timeout, again, we've seen them have so much impact in this game. Time and time again. and it has done the same job. Romalia has intervened, and G2 have managed to get 2 rounds back-to-back.
Yeah, I'll come back and I'll eat my words on this one. I wasn't too convinced by that tactical timeout, at least from what we heard, and I was like, I feel like there's more that can be offered here outside of a few sentence or two about a given site, and I really thought, I really wanted to hear a little bit more during this time that would really get G2 moving again. Clearly it was enough because they are up and moving. That's 2 rounds on the bounce now. Again, momentum starting to build back their way. SSG take us back downstairs. And looking at the lineup, it's again extremely stall focused. Even seeing the Evil Eyes coming along though. Brava being picked in though by G2 because it's hidden it away in behind Sinks. And now Forest can spring up and start getting these cameras down.
This round feels like it's got a lot of weight to it.
Say change away from a bit, Tim.
Yeah.
It's one of the heaviest there is.
I'm going to rethink that. SSG, of course, trying to get themselves onto that Magic 6, but G2 able to level things up. This could be absolutely game-defining here. We've got G2 for the time being stacking up to try and get themselves inside of the map. I think they know that everybody on the side of SSG is downstairs, so the map is G2's. They can go in and they can take what they've been given, and they can start with that vertical work. They've got the Ram, they've got the Buck, they are set up for it. They've got Doki on the Nomad. He will air jab off the stairs so that there are no flanks coming through. G2 can be secure here. They can soften up sight, they can force SSG away. But the question is, will it be enough?
Small one to look at here is Doki on the Nomad. It was actually banned away against him the other day, much to his despair in the all chat. That's why they were taking it away from him. I think the nice thing here is because they've already started work so early on that lower red, start getting control inside of these sites that we're in, well, sites, these rooms here, in towards mining, fireplace, and train. You have to lock down those stairs and stop any kind of flanks coming up. Ain't too bad. Are we going? I thought we were hot dropping them for a second. I was a little bit nervous, but no. It was just, you know, getting the hatch opened up for themselves, stalled out here, at least for a second, by that Subaru. But G2 are making good progress, Tim. They're chewing through this floor only halfway into the round.
They are, but the next important step for them is clearing J9 out of VIP. We speak about that position so often. Doki benefited from it earlier. They need to move him out of that position. They need to get that kill, because without it, they cannot push him through Freezer. He will just hurt them on the flank, as Doki did. So that's going to be the next key battleground, really, for G2, is getting that worked out. At the minute, they haven't touched Bakery. You can see Benja's silhouette off in the distance. He's playing his position there, but it gives G2 a little bit more space here. Forest is the one. I was going to say, they're pushing into Bakery now. They've adjusted, they've adapted, they've rotated. Lyra manages to get the kill, and that allows Uno to push on in here. SSG were expecting Freezer, as were we all, but this is a quick move from G2. Could it be the one that gets them the round? 2v2 effectively with the Maestro down.
They got the down into Forest, but couldn't quite finish him off, and that's what gave away the trade. It's what let SSG spring into action and get the trade back on the other side. Forest might not be recoverable here because they haven't got that red control, but look at this. The dancing around, they've got no idea, but oh my God, Alamau in behind at the perfect time. A bit of a siege timing moment for Ash and Tim. They've got to push in. Fultz holding in off towards the right. Double red pin coming out as well. He's now up, good at the ready. Finds one, can't quite find two. As he does, because the downs were in place. They couldn't get the finish off. SSG take the round. Wow.
The rounds do not come any closer than that. The shots landed at the same time, and SSG win the round 6-4 now as we head into round 10. G2 fighting for their lives in the upper bracket. They don't go home if they lose, but they do drop down to the lower bracket. They missed that opportunity to secure a live stage spot today, to have the job almost done. They need 2 rounds now without any further mistakes.
So well played as well. I mean, Fultz has done quite a lot in this round. Yes, he's gone down, but it being at the same time, as you say, is enough to get the round their way. You can't even say it's a game in milliseconds at this point, Tim. It's the same millisecond where things are being decided. It could have been 5-5, but it's a North American side in the lead. And G2 have got to make this work for 2 rounds in a row. That Maestro, I think, was always going to be a big frustration point for them. They did really well to rotate over and drop into Bakery and punish him after they saw him on a drone tucked inside a Bakery, but managed to get away and did enough time, enough attention. So, yes, he went down to the player on red, but that's what let Fultz step across and secure a kill. And then, of course, we saw the final 2 coming out of him. Pretty fair to say, Tim, Fultz, he wants that second hammer so badly.
He really does. You can just see it. So much passion in both of the lineups at the minute, looking for this win. The tension is palpable as we head into round 11. It's going to be reading room that SSG tried to hold on to. The question is this just the beginning of their story, Des?
It's cheeky. I want to see Yokai's running out, but not quite Mozzie drones, admittedly. Has done just that. At least Pingware 1 is spawning. It gives the indication on which side of the map the attackers are looking to start from. Of course, when you choose where you spawn on that side of the map. Indicates there's a bit of control being sought over towards northeast, southwest, wherever else you might look at. Now they've got an idea of that. They're not in a terrible spot. G2 in this round have really doubled down on the flank watch or the flank denial. Alamau on the gridlock. They've got Blaz on the Nomad this time around with Doki taking up the helm of the ace. Really want to stop SSG causing bother on any kind of flanks or rotates.
Yeah, Uno's going to go in quickly. Those Trax Stingers haven't done a fantastic job on red stairs, to be fair. They've, I think, sort of been thrown at the wall and not really deployed as fully as they might have liked.
When I think of Alamau, I don't think gridlock player, to be fair.
No,
Doki is normally the gridlock player.
If you have a look there, he's sort of dumped him in against the wall. And he needs to be getting him in the middle of the stairs there because, let's be honest, that's wasted utility. They're doing nothing. A player can walk up there. The problem is that G2, Doki's on there now, so they probably recognise that. They need to be aware of it because otherwise they could be thinking that, you know, they'll hear somebody coming and they won't. But right now, Uno is making slow progress across that top floor, looking to get some control up there with the rest of G2. We can see we've still got... No, we've got everybody now of SSG, has dropped away back towards site. So G2, with a minute 10, can start working vertically.
They've wanted to play a heavy denial game behind 4 C4s. They've tossed 2, done some damage to Uno, and the third one was ripped, and I thought ready to go. May even find a player above, but as it stands, that's not quite the case. As G2 members start boiling away, though, Alamau the first one to go. Those 2 C4s become even more potent. Last, getting rid of Ashen. Not a bad spot. Evening things out, and now all C4s are gone. So their chances of catching out G2 players that have been hoping to find at least 2 with that vertical denial from below, that no longer being available, suddenly this Monty starts looking very, very imposing.
Benja manages to find Blaz, but the answer is there from Lyra. Fultz on the trade. This is a trade for trade for trade. The question is, how do they deal with the Monty? J9 comes in with a huge flank dares, and that is the North American side. SSG locking out the game and proceeding in the upper bracket. What a day they have had with wins against FaZe and G2. An absolute dream.
There's definitely a meme out there cooking of that Reaper knocking on doors and taking names, Tim. You're taking down 2 of the potential winners of this tournament. Next up awaits BDS or Unwanted, and I'm pretty sure they'll fancy themselves against either of those 2 as well. Looking like serious contenders to win this if they carry on at this pace. For now, we'll go to a break, and when we come back, our analysts will break it down for you.